All right, our final proclamation item is going to be presented by the mayor. We are reconvened as a meeting and able to conduct official business. Mr. Mayor, good morning.
Do you want to do the rest, or are you going to do it? Okay, great. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, thank you. All of us know the horrible images and the desperation that the people of Cuba are feeling. And I was blessed to be at an event that Commissioner Carollo had in his district, where he really, in combination with in combination with the preso político, homenajearon, and we created a beautiful statue and I think Commissioner Reyes also was involved, and he was there. The statue to really express our solidarity with the fight against communism. And the fight against communism for many has been not just a fight about policies. The Brigade 2506, people sacrificed their lives and went to fight with arms to liberate their people. And it's important that we recognize that history, and that we understand that the fight for Cuba has been not just a fight with words, but a fight, a combat as well. So today, with the help of the Commission, I am proclaiming La Lucha Guerrillera Anticomunista Cubana Day in the city of Miami. Ven. Patria y vida.
This gentleman is the president of the former political prisoners in Cuban jails association here in Miami. It's been 62 years of death, oppression, and people being thrown in jails in Cuba. I know that here in our country, even Miami, we have so much that we seem to forget what is happening so close to our shores in our own hemisphere, whether it's Cuba, whether it's Venezuela, Nicaragua, that the seed of it all originated in Cuba. And the people that have trained and in fact control those oppressive military regimes like in Venezuela are Cubans. Many are in Nicaragua also. But the political prisoners that have gone through Cuban jails, sadly, they have been forgotten by the world. These are men and women, many, many women also, that have spent years, decades, in some instance, in the worst type of conditions that a human being can live in, where every respect that as humans we should have was thrown out the door. Human rights, they don't know what human rights is. They were given food that have every kind of insect that you could imagine, and just enough so they could live in. Prisoners being beaten constantly, bayonets being used to go into their bodies in many different ways. And to our women there, I won't even describe the kind of suffering that they had to endure in Cuban jails and the kind of abuse that they were subjected to. And it's been 62 years of this. So much so that it was the generation of young Cubans that were all born, every one of them, under this regime that went into the streets and screamed freedom. They didn't ask for food. They didn't ask for vaccines. They asked for freedom. And today, we want to honor, in the most solemn way, the thousands of men and women that were political prisoners that went through the gulag of the Cuban communist, terrorist, narco-trafficking regime in those jails, and in particular, those that did not survive, that they died in those jails. And we want to do that by not just giving a proclamation that's going to be their day to always to be remembered here in Miami every year, but in also giving a key to the city so that in their small museum here in Miami on 13th Avenue, that key could be there for the survivors, the visitors, the tourists that come could see that the city has given its highest possible honor to those men and women for their sacrifice for freedom in Cuba. And truly, it was a fight for freedom in the Americas, because we are now truly seeing what happened because the world did not listen back when many of them were fighting in the mountains against the Castro regime, fighting in the cities, and they were abandoned because those were the years that the regime was seen as the Robin Hood of the Americas. Thank God that finally, most of the mainstream American media is realizing that that wasn't the case, that they're a bunch of thugs, murderers, drug traffickers. And when I see that every cable network, whether it is from MSNBC on one extreme to Fox in the other to CNN, that the vast majority of their commentators, the people that they're inviting to speak, are finally speaking the truth as to what is happening inside Cuba, and they're showing the videos, the few videos and pictures that have been able to come out of Cuba before they shut the whole internet. I see that those heroes inside Cuba, those young heroes, have accomplished what other generations weren't able to accomplish. And this is why we have to stand behind them. And we cannot let that flame of freedom be extinguished again. Thank you.
Thank you, Yo. I want to add that if you go to 13th Avenue, which is where you see those monuments, you're going to see a monument that is to El Guerrillero Cubano. And many people don't know that from the onset of this so-called revolution, which they started since day one, they started killing and imprisoning Cubans. And there was a group all over the island, and not only on the mountains, and mostly they were peasants. There were people that were farmers, that they took up on arms and they fought. They fought as guerrillas. And we have one of those members of the guerrillas here, and they fought sometimes without weapons, in circumstances that they were not advantage to them, and lack of support from any country including the United States, that it was very difficult. I was in the United States at the time. It was extremely difficult to get them weapons or ammunition. And they kept on fighting until they were overrun by the superior forces of the Castro regime. And that did not only happen in the mountains of Escambray, it also happened in places that were completely flat, like in my hometown, Victoria La Tuna, that there was a group of valiant Cubans, young Cubans, of all races and all type, within all members of all the socioeconomic stratas, those people were fighting. And many people don't know that Cubans fought for their freedom since day one, but we had never been helped. We had never always been abandoned. And it's my honor to be standing next to one of those freedom fighters. And that's why I think that that monument and this recognition, it is very much welcome.
Let me read the proclamation that we have here today, and then I'll give the mic over. But before I do that, let me give a special thanks to Commissioner Reyes, along with Mayor Suarez, that they both contributed the funding to make this statute that was placed on 8th Street in 13th Avenue behind the Brigade 2506 monument a reality. In the City of Miami proclamation states the following: whereas in July 13th, 1963, a day known as La Sabia Massacre, the communist regime in Cuba committed a mass execution against 21 guerrillas who were already imprisoned in Isla de Pino, to mark it as a day of the anti-communist Cuban guerrilla. And whereas the Castro's tyranny ended all the democratic institutions of the nation, this tyranny kept the Cuban people from dissolving their difference under a rule of law. And whereas thousands of men and women killed in combat or were sentenced to die by firing squads without the due legal process. And whereas this monument honors the men and women from the original 6th province of Cuba who fought the communist tyranny in the valleys and mountains, and to those who collaborated with the guerrillas as regional advisors. And whereas the anti-communist Cuban guerrillas sacrificed their lives for the cause of a free Cuba in the fight for democracy, they will be remembered for their patriotic legacy with the sponsorship of Presidio Político Histórico Cubano, Organización Casa del Preso, and is rightly being honored by the City of Miami for their contributions to the city and the Cuban exile community. Now, therefore, Francis Suarez, Mayor of the City of Miami, and the City of Miami Commission proclaim the official document proclaimed today, July 22nd, 2021, as La Lucha Guerrillera Anticomunista Cubana.
Thank you. My name is Luis Infante, President of Presidio Político Histórico Cubano, Casa del Preso. We have been established in this community for 40 years. I want to say thank you to Commission Joe Carollo, the Commission of the City of Miami, our mayor, all of them. Thank you for this distinction that I accept in the name of the members of my organization, women and men, and in the name of the Cuban people that in this moment is fighting for its freedom. Patria y vida.
So, if you can hear me. We have a couple items on our agenda that are relatively related to this. And if there is a motion to take up RE 12 and RE 15, I am happy to hear them at this point. Moved by Commissioner Watson, second by Commissioner Carollo.
And the motions are sponsored by the entire city commission.
Unanimous
And
co-sponsorship.
there is on R12, there is a friendly amendment, Madam City, if it accepted by the mover. And I want you to read it. I'm having a friendly amendment.
Yes, Commissioner Reyes, the friendly amendment is, whereas witnessing the plight of the Cuban people, communities throughout the world have protested to support the Cuban people in their call for freedom. And the other amendment is transmitting in section 4 for the transmittals to also send it to Secretary General Antonio Guterres of the United Nations, European Parliament President David Maria Sassoli, European Council President Charles Michel, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, and Secretary General Luis Leonardo Amalgro Lemes of the Organization of the American States.
Does the mover and seconder accept?
Accepted.
Thank you. So just so that the public is aware for public comment, this is a resolution of the Miami City Commission urging President Joe Biden Jr. and the 117th Congress of the United States to take any and all actions necessary to assist the Cuban people in their call for freedom and relief from Cuba's socialist communist regime. Further urging the President, Joe Biden, and the 117th Congress to provide medical equipment and treatment to combat the latest surge of the novel coronavirus on the island, and then directing the city clerk to transmit a copy of this resolution to the official named herein, as well as the amendment. Is there anyone here from the public who'd like to speak on this item? I'll open public comment. Please step up to the lectern over there. You have 2 minutes. Just state your name, and you're very welcome.
I would respectfully request 3 minutes. I tried to put it.
I'm
that's
sure
okay.
we will grant
Thank
it.
you.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Chairman, Commissioner, Madam City Attorney, City Clerk, and City Manager. I'm Giselle Gutierrez, and I proudly serve as a co-vice president of GABA, the Cuban American Bar Association. I'm here today on behalf of GABA in support of Resolution 9366, which urges President Biden to take any and all actions necessary to assist the Cuban people in their call for freedom. The recent uprisings in Cuba present a historic opportunity to assist the Cuban people in their quest for freedom from the authoritarian regime that has oppressed and brought widespread misery to its citizens since 1959. Where basic principles of rule of law like self-determination, free and fair multi-party elections, freedom of speech, the right to freely associate are all withheld from their citizens. The Cuban regime engages in systemic human rights violations, which have been denounced for decades by leading human rights organizations. Moreover, it muzzles dissent by imposing absolute control over all forms of communication, both among Cuban citizens and with the outside world. While the regime espouses the false narrative that it enjoys near total support from the Cuban people, the world has now borne witness to this falsehood repeatedly and via video recording. When the Cuban people spontaneously fomented a national movement of protest against their government, using technology to communicate with one another and with the international community, they knew full well the likely repercussions of openly manifesting disagreement with the Cuban regime would lead to oppressive and punitive actions. Thousands of Cubans nonetheless joined the multi-city movement of peaceful demonstrations, and for the first time in 60 years, they were organized and mounted a peaceful protest that spread across Cuba from coast to coast within hours. The world watched as these brave men and women and youth marched in the streets throughout Cuba and risked their lives to call for freedom and an end to their repressive government, and so many other nations have done. President Biden rightly recognized the clarion call for freedom and relief from the tragic grip of the pandemic and the decades of oppression and economic suffering to which the Cuban people have been subjected to by the Cuban regime. The Cuban regime likewise heard that call, and it responded with violence. The regime sanctioned savage beatings of peaceful demonstrators and subsequent arbitrary arrests of citizens of all ages have now been captured, recorded, broadcast, and shared repeatedly. This commission now has a historic opportunity to help the Cuban people rid themselves of the oppressive government by adopting Resolution 9366 and urging President Biden to take any and all actions necessary to assist the Cuban people in their call for freedom, for which there is a viable path. There is only so much Cuban citizens can do under the heavy hand of their armed and repressive regime. Their efforts have been exceptional. It is now in our hands, in your hands, to support those efforts. GABA and other voluntary bars across the country jointly wrote to President Biden outlining constructive and strategic measures to provide crucial support to the cause of freedom in Cuba. And I respectfully submit that letter for your consideration, and I implore you to adopt this resolution today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else here to speak at public comment on this item?
Commissioner, I respectfully request 1 extra minute as well. I just ask, in addition to everything that the lady just shared, the Venezuelan army.
Your name, please?
My name is Greg Frank. I'm a citizen of zip code 33137 constituent. In addition to everything she said, the Venezuelan army has also flown in forces to support the Cuban army. Members of the United States, Cubans and Americans, are going to be in Washington, D.C. on Saturday. I respectfully request if Mayor Suarez and any other commissioners who are able, set up a meeting with President Biden in advance and ask him to take the actions that really will provide the assistance. I believe he is getting bad information from lobbyists who have business interests that counter the actual Cuban people's freedom. And it would be, I think it would be very helpful if as many of you gentlemen as possible speak with him in person on Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else here to speak on public comment on RE 12? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. RE 15 is a co-designation of 9th Street to 2506 Brigade Way. Is there a motion on this item? Moved by Commissioner Carollo, seconded by Commissioner Reyes. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak on this item from the public? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Any further discussion? Unanimous co-sponsorship? Gladly. All in favor say aye. That's correct. It's not getting captured on the microphone, but the street does go between 2 districts, but you have unanimous co-sponsorship of this commission. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks very much. All right, on to the business of the day. Thank you. All right, we got to get this cake out of the way, so it's time to sing happy birthday. Mayor, let us know whose birthday it is. There's a microphone.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I think obviously there's been a lot happening in the last few weeks, but this upcoming Thursday, right? Wednesday, almost a week from today, the city of Miami is turning 125. 125. And when you put it in the context of what we're seeing in Cuba, having 125 years of liberty, 125 years of freedom, 125 years of capitalism, we see that our city is thriving and doing better than many cities in urban America. And it's thanks to the commission that we have. It's thanks to the wonderful citizens that we have in our city. And it's thanks to the fact that we abide by a few simple rules. The first is we try to keep taxes as low as humanly possible. The second one is, while a lot of cities defund police, we've increased funding for our police and want to have as many officers to keep our cities safe. And number 3, we focus on quality of life. We know that the most important decision that any of you make is where you live and where you raise your families. And so we're focusing on making sure that we have the best city possible when it comes to education, when it comes to parks, when it comes to culture, when it comes to sports. And that's what we focused on in our 125 years of existence. We hope to have another successful 125 years. And in the meantime, what are we going to say? Happy birthday? Is that what we're going to do? All right, with a sparkler? Here we go. COVID-friendly sparkler. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Can hurry up. Happy birthday to Miami. Happy birthday to you. All right. Good job, buddy. Good job. All right, let's take a quick picture.
We don't blow it. It dies naturally. Like, we'll
Want to put the picture before this? Now on to the business of the day. Thank you again all for your patience. Mr. Manager, before we take up public comment, we'll be going into the order of the day to set our agenda. As soon as the commissioners are back on the dais. Mr. Clerk, are there any mayoral vetoes?
Chair, there are no mayoral vetoes.
Thank you.
On the police? Yeah, I know.
Before we take up the order of the day, should I take up the first pocket item setting the September meeting? We'll call this PI1. This is a resolution of the Miami City Commission rescheduling the first commission meeting from Thursday, September 9th. This is a pocket item number 1 about just setting the next commission meeting so that as we go into the deferrals, we know what date we're setting it to. From Thursday, it was September 9th to now Monday, September 13th, starting at 9 a.m. to be held at City Hall, 3500 Pan American Drive. So the first commission.
Can I ask why the change from?
Did administration get together with staffs on these dates? The change of commission date? Is my office aware? September? Yes, the first meeting in September was scheduled for Thursday, September 9th. The request is to move it to Monday, September 13th.
Can I give a brief explanation?
Please.
The reason for that is because there's a conflict with the school board also having their budget hearing on the original date, so we moved it to the 13th so that we would not have a conflict.
All right, but did you check with each office?
We did. We did check with each office.
I got it.
All right, so each commissioner is available. Is there a motion on PI1?
Move
please?
it.
Moved by Commissioner Reyes, seconded by the chair. Does anyone from the public like to speak on this item? Seeing none, close public comment. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Hit it.
Motion passes. Thank you. That's PI1. All right, Mr. Manager, we can now set the agenda and we'll be deferring to the correct date, September 13th.
13.
Good morning, Mr. Vice Chair, Commissioners, Madam City Attorney, Mr. City Clerk. This time the administration would like to defer and/or withdraw the following items. RE 11 to be deferred to September 13th. And FR2 to be deferred to September 23rd. That concludes the items.
Okay, that is RE 11, Little Haiti Revitalization Trust,
And
and FR2, the scooter ordinance.
Mr. Manager,
Yes, Madam City Attorney.
will you also be deferring the discussion item on scooters?
Yes, please. Same.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then I will be requesting a deferral on PZ 13.
Which one?
PZ 13, the zoning text change with regard to RTZs.
What is the request on that item?
I'm sorry?
We can't hear you, Victoria.
PZ 13, I'll be requesting a reset till the next meeting in September.
The first or the second meeting in September?
PC
First.
13. Which one is?
September 13th.
September 13th.
Thank you.
That's PZ 13, the item regarding RTZ zoning
Okay.
for September 13th. Mr. Manager, I understand there are some applicant requests on PZ items that are requesting a deferral if the planning zoning director would like to let us know.
Yeah.
Okay, you can come.
Good morning, everyone. Iris Esquera. I'm requesting for PZ1 to be deferred to the first meeting in October.
PC 1.
Get your date. That's October 14th.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else from the PZ agenda that would like to see an item deferred, continued, or withdrawn? An applicant? Is that it, Caesar? I thought there were more than
You
one.
gonna,
Is there another item to be deferred?
you gonna defer?
And Chair, while we're waiting, I believe I heard the city attorney mention DI4, I'm sorry,
No,
DI2. The discussion item DI2 will also be deferred to September 13th?
23rd.
September 23rd. Yes, okay, understood.
Caesar, which item was it, just so we'll make our own decision? Hello, Mr. Geller.
Hello, Chair. At this time, on behalf of the applicant, we would like to ask for item RE9 to be deferred to this September meeting.
So RE9, that is Commissioner Carollo's item, if I'm not mistaken, so that's up to you. You want a microphone?
This is the St. James items,
You got it.
RE9.
I stated, Chair, that we'll deal with it later.
So you'd like to keep it on the agenda for now?
Thank you.
May or may not be deferred at that time, but we're going to take it up on the agenda.
Thank you.
So I'm going to move to commissioners if there are any items that they'd like to see withdrawn, deferred, or continued from the agenda.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
If I may, you see, on PC 11, I did ask, my office asked for for a covenant on the rentals. You see, I wanted to know what was going to be the rentals, and I haven't received any.
This is PZ5? I mean, PZ11?
PC 11.
Got it. This is a District 5 item, Commissioner
That's
Watson.
right, and I just want to know, when are we going to get the covenant? Remember that we talked about it?
Yes, sir. I was actually here at the last meeting, and I was the one that proffered the covenant. We apologize, but we weren't able to get it in on time for everybody, all the departments to review and so forth. So we would ask to be on your September 13th agenda, the first
Okay.
meeting. I'm here on behalf of my colleague.
Okay.
So
Okay,
PZ11 is
it's
a
that-
request for deferral?
Yes.
Now,
September
Chair,
13th.
I have a couple of other items that I want to defer, but I'm going to ask for a deferment longer than for next meeting, so I guess I'll keep them out of this bunch.
No, that's fine. You can
Okay.
just set a date.
All right, so I will ask for RE13 and RE14 to be deferred to the second meeting in November,
That would
RE13?
be-
and 14.
We only have one meeting in November, so that would be the 18th.
Okay, the 18th, November.
You want to come back for a second?
Well, this is an issue that I think we need to discuss. This is,
This is a ballot language that will give the citizens of Miami an opportunity to pick between what's a better deal for Miami. So I think if we have an item on the agenda that basically gives a marina to a single vendor, that we need to have a debate about whether a different vendor can provide more dollars, a better marina for Miami, and let the citizens of Miami decide in November which of the two they want or both. And then whichever this commission comes back, eventually it has to come back to this commission, and eventually it's going to need 4 votes for it to ever happen. So it's better to have the conversation now than to wait and continue to delay and to do anything that favors a particular vendor over another vendor that I think is offering a better product, at least on paper, and perhaps they can have the conversation today and we can hear it. But to defer it is just sort of eliminate what Commissioner Reyes spoke about, which is competition. Competition for any marina or for any product in the city of Miami, a debate about it, an honest debate, and to give the citizens of Miami an opportunity to vote on something. But to try to eliminate that option and only offer one option, you're basically circumventing. First of all, we had requested an RFP process from the beginning. I think Commissioner Reyes had said, let's have the city take the marina back, and then let's do an expedited RFP. That was the original intent. That never happened. I spoke to the manager at the time, and we publicly spoke to the manager and also privately and said, let's have an RFP expedited, that you can do it in 21 days. Then we went through the whole unsolicited bid and that whole process. And there's a long history attached to all this. This is something that's been going on for 7 years now. So what we need to do, I think, is have a conversation about what other options are available to Miamians to build a world-class marina in Miami. Why limit the conversation to one vendor, one issue, and it's giving preferential treatment to a particular vendor? And I think that's wrong. I think it's anti-competitive. I think it's anti-American, it's anti-capitalism, and it's singular to one particular person. I think it's favoritism at its worst. Mr. Chair?
Yes,
my name was came up. I stand for my position that has been always my position on Marie's. It was my position anytime that we have the ability to ask for competitive bidding. That was my proposal from day one. I will not vote for any of the. I mean, to take the 4/5 strategy, which I'm totally opposed to it, unless it is only one vendor, because I think that that is in order to circumvent the request. I mean, the shorter directive that all city of Miami property should be placed in an RFP should be offered, and it should be subject to competitive bidding. That happened with the park. I voted against it, and I will vote against it. And that it is. I don't believe that is the way to do it, business. I believe that we should have an RFP, have competitive bidding, who are real professionals, that they are very knowledgeable of whatever we are bidding, will be the ones that are going to make the decision and are going to make the recommendation which of the offers is better for the city of Miami. And I mean, deferring or not deferring it, you see, I will vote against it anyways.
Thank you to both commissioners. With dissenting opinions, this was brought up at the last meeting, and there was a vote 3-2 to place the item on the ballot and to create the language and then bring it back this meeting to place on the ballot.
Okay.
So if that's the will of this commission.
It is the will of the commission, I will accept it, but not with my blessing.
So my question is, why is there a second item on the agenda now contravening that majority will?
Well, if I could speak.
Yes, Commissioner Carollo, then Commissioner Diaz-Lela Portilla.
I disagree with just about every statement that Commissioner Diaz-Lela Portilla has made here, because they are not accurate or factual on the history, long history of what has happened with this marina in this process. Having said that, he's made his statement, he's presented his case. What I think we should do is we have a very long agenda, and let's see where the commission stands. Let's take this item right now. He could make the motion to place it on the ballot, or to send it to the city attorney's office, I guess, first, to write it, and then place it on the ballot, whatever it is that he wants to present that he's got here. And if the votes are there, then we move. If they're not there, he dies. So
you're inviting a motion on
I'm inviting a motion
RE
with the chair's permission.
13 and 14?
If he could bring in
Well,
13 and 14, let him make his motion.
well, hold on. First of all, there was a motion, am I made, Mr. Chair, through you? There's a motion to defer the item.
Well, I'm
There's
withdrawing
no
the
motion
motion.
has been made yet.
Well,
I'm withdrawing the motion. It was
Okay,
never
so
seconded.
you're withdrawing the
to begin
motion,
with.
so
It
now.
was never seconded to begin with.
That's true. Now there's, there are people that have come to speak on this item that are not here yet. So the timing of an issue that I'm presenting before this commission, as we have extended that courtesy to you, Commissioner Carollo, and to Commissioner Reyes, and to every commissioner today, is when you want to make a time certain, have a time certain vote or time certain conversation, I want to be the one that dictates the time, not you, because it is my item. So what I wanted to do was have everybody present to be able to hear the argument, which I think is fair.
Well, who is missing that needs to speak?
And at 2 p.m.,
Who is
after-
missing?
the-
Who is missing?
you'll see.
No, but I'd like to
I
know.
mean,
You're
well-
saying that you want to delay it because
No, I don't want to
somebody
delay it
wanted
as a
to speak.
courtesy.
Who?
I want a time certain debate, as you have had many times.
We've had the debate.
At 2 p.m.
What we need is a vote.
I don't want you to dictate the timing of my agenda item.
No, I'm not dictating. I'm just
So
bringing it
I
up to a vote.
I understand what you want to do.
We're not going to be here for hours and
No, we're
hours.
not. That's why I'm doing a time
And
certain.
that's what you intend to do.
No,
Yes, it is.
no. We're going to make it
Just
time.
a moment, gentlemen, just so I
That's why
can,
we make
just
it
so I
time
can
certain.
clarify.
I want the item to be debated at 2 p.m. It's time certain. It's not forever and ever. If we limit the debate, we can even limit the debate to 10 minutes per side.
You can't even tell me who's going to come.
Well,
You want a time certain? I won't accept
Well,
that.
first of all, you're
Just
not
a moment,
you're not a
gentlemen,
judge,
gentlemen.
and you don't determine when my items are heard. That's the issue here. The issue here is collegiality and courtesy. You don't determine when my items are heard the same way I don't determine when your items are heard. I'm asking my colleagues, which is the right thing to do, as a courtesy, as a matter of collegiality, as all legislative bodies should work and operate under certain rules of decorum, that I want to hear this item at 2 p.m. And what's wrong with that?
Would like to speak, please.
Everything you haven't lived
Just a
by.
minute, Commissioner Carollo.
I-
Just a minute, Commissioner Carollo. The commissioners do not decide unilaterally when items get heard.
That's right.
Time certains are
Correct.
submitted to the chair.
Correct.
I have not received a time certain request on this item. It is on the agenda as is. Now, any one of us can individually make a motion to take an item out of order if we like, but I have not accepted any time certain items for this agenda, and I can be outruled if 3 commissioners or more would like to set a time certain, but I have not heard this request up to now of a 2 p.m. specific because someone can't be here that we don't know who it is.
Because somebody made a motion to defer out of order.
Well, if
In other words, to take it.
okay, well, let me just ask a question, because if it's out of order, Todd, is it out of order or? Because
No,
I thought there was
out of the, this is RE 13 and RE 14. So somebody's trying to defer, Commissioner, not somebody, Commissioner Carollo is trying to defer the item because he does not want to have a debate on the competitor to the particular vendor that he supports. I get that.
We've had the debate already.
No, but I want to have it.
Last meeting, we had a long debate on it.
No. It doesn't matter if you lose it or win it because November is coming and, you know, all the things are going to happen, legislative pendulum switch. So it doesn't matter whether you win it or lose it. The debate is always had.
What about November is coming? I don't understand. I missed something there.
Different people are elected to office, Commissioner.
Oh,
We're not talking about you, Commissioner. There's an open seat, there's other things that are happening. There'll be an open seat, I believe. But all that's a different conversation for a different day. This is a debate about what's good for Miami, what's in the best interest of Miami, how Miami can build world-class marinas, and it may very well be that your preferred vendor can build a world-class marina. I never said that he can't. I never said that. What I'm saying is that the voters of Miami should have a right to decide.
They are.
And that's the option. And I understand that you, Chair Russell, and you, Commissioner Carollo, favor a particular vendor keeping a marina that's been the same for many years. He has now offered, and I see Mr. Mawani there in the audience and Mr. DeGrande who represents it. They have now offered a $100 million plus plan to build a world-class marina, and they need some certainty.
Not now, that was always offered from day one.
There is no certainty in a process that's rammed through because it's a very long process. You have to have long-term vision. It has to go to referendum, that has to pass. It has to come back to this body for a 4/5 vote. There is no certainty in that. That will never happen. So what needs to happen is let the voters of Miami decide which of the two, if you want to do a referendum, what should happen is what Commissioner Reyes recommended from the beginning to avoid all this entire debate. Let's go to an RFP process. Let's pick the correct selection committee, because I do agree with you, Commissioner Carollo, that selection committee was, for lack of a better word, somewhat rigged, and that it wasn't a favorable, and that they changed the goalposts on them along the way, because I know the history. I get all that. So let's do a legitimate RFP process, expedite it in 21 days that an unsolicited bid would trigger, and we have a real process where competition and different people can bid, and there'll be the same players, and whoever gives the city of Miami the best deal, we get the best deal. That's what we're looking for here, the best marina and the best deal. What we're not looking for, we should not be looking for here, is to get one vendor, one shot, the only vendor, and to eliminate all competition and give them preferential treatment. That's exactly what's happening here.
That's not so at all.
That's exactly what's happening here, and for many reasons, but we're not going to get into that either.
Commissioner, you know
So what we're going to do is
here,
this.
And I'm trying to be cordial.
Me too.
And not get into it.
I can get into it with you if you want.
What's happening. So
I can get into it. I can go into it.
The bottom line is that I haven't heard you say anything new from the last meeting, the one before that.
Commissioner, I
Well,
haven't heard you say
now,
anything
Mr.
new about a whole
Unity
bunch of things for a year and a half I've been here.
Commissioner,
That
one at a
it's
time.
either your way
You're
or
not saying
the highway.
One at a time, please.
You haven't said anything new either. You
Commissioner,
go on and
Commissioner
on and on and
Diaz-Portilla,
on.
please. Commissioner
No, no,
Carollo has the floor, and then I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, well, pass it to me.
Everything that you're saying is a repeat, a repeat, a repeat.
Commissioner, that's you.
And just a minute. Absolutely true. And all that we've seen is tricks from the Suntex company. In fact, the original bidder on the Suntex group, 50% of them, which is the Christophs, they were the ones that were supposed to, I believe, build the project. They're not part of them any longer, from what I see that was presented. I don't know who the new partners are. That'd be interesting. I have an idea, but they're not listed. And then after the representative from Suntex met with, from what I heard last meeting, quite a few of us, and what he was asking for was Dinner Key Marina. And if he would be given Dinner Key Marina, then he wasn't going to mess with the trick that he came up at the top of the ninth inning with this proposal that Commissioner Russell presented. It was approved by the commission to go to vote in a referendum to the voters. So my position is I am not going to be here, especially a day like today that we have so much, discussing the same thing for hours and hours. You made your point. This commission could vote up or down. If you have the votes, so be it. We live in a democracy. If you don't, then we move forward. But I am not going to be in favor of sitting here talking about the same issue that what it comes down to is Suntex, or they're going to play every game in the world to stop anybody from going through a process that has been voted upon by this commission. And look, I could, go into many other things that will be very unpleasant. I'm trying to avoid that. But what I'm saying is the way democracy works is through a vote. We're going to have that vote here. If you have a majority of this commission in favor of it, so be it. If you don't, you can't keep coming, trying to filibuster, trying to, somehow whip us down into accomplishing what you want. I've lost a tremendous amount of faith in this last trick from these people in Suntec. Tremendous amount of faith in who these people are, because things are done in the way that they did it. I mean, it's absurd. So to my colleagues, I say this. You tell me, Chair, what kind of motion you want to bring this discussion, the same discussion that is being repeated, time and time again, to an end so we could have a vote. And if the last minute trick, the rabbit out of the hat that they thought they could pull out is there, then he gets his way. If it's not there, then we move forward.
Thank you, Commissioner. I do agree this is a Hail Mary pass by the Suntex group to try to force a selection process here on the floor. Present to us and compare apples to oranges and see if we can make a choice here. And that wasn't the original objective here.
I thought you were going to recognize me.
So yes, I will recognize you, but Commissioner Carrillo's question was what would solve this situation. It would be one of two things, either a motion to approve RE7 or a motion to deny or withdraw or defer RE13 and 14. Either of those would work.
It's not quite as simple as that, because what he's asking for is to approve also 13 at the same time. And RE7 is separate from the rest of it. And what I'm trying to is flush the quail out on this. This is an old saying in Tallahassee with the Tallahassee boys. And let's bring it to a head.
I agree.
Let's have a vote. Put the motion.
We'll have the vote when we have the debate.
You've had your debate
No,
last
no,
time. You've had it now.
Once again, Commissioner Russell, Chairman, I'm recognized when the filibuster ends. Has the filibuster ended?
Should we pass a reso to eliminate the filibuster? Because I think we all agree that America would
talk
be better
about
without
talk about a filibuster and on and on and on.
Commissioner Diaz-Portillo, you recognize.
Thank you. The only unpleasant conversation that can be had here, Commissioner Carollo, you know what it is. The proposal, Commissioner Rosso, you presented is a specific favor to a specific vendor without any kind of competition, a specific vendor that you have for years protected and defended. Now, let's talk a little bit about the history. For 7 years, this particular vendor, and my purpose here is not to go against any particular vendor, but the history matters. And the unpleasant conversation is a one that I can have, and I'd be more than glad to have it, Commissioner Carrillo, whenever you want to have it, but I'm not an unpleasant person, unlike others. I'm a person that likes real debate in a democracy. So you don't just say, let's vote on it, you can't talk about something. That's what happens in dictatorships. In a democratic forum like this one, in a democratic body like this one, we have a conversation. Every member of this body is an equal member, and every member of this body has a right to have a debate about issues that are important. Now, there are really important issues in our city, and there are really big-ticket items in our city. Marinas and the quality of our marinas. For Miami to have a world-class marina is a big-ticket item. As are other things. The MRC, soccer stadium, the things that are controversial sometimes, but are big-ticket items, and sometimes they stir passions and create more debate than it needs. But to be clear, what's happened here over the last 7 years of not having a world-class marina, and actually, how many years has it been, Mr. Moana, you've had that marina? Not a question, it's rhetorical. Decades? Nothing's happened there. Nothing's happened there. So there's no trick here. There was an unsolicited proposal which is allowed by our rules and allowed by our government and allowed by our laws that came before us to say, hey, we have a better deal for Miami and for Miamians where we can generate more money. Miamians may not agree it's a better deal. They'll vote it down or they'll vote another one up. But the choice, the option is what we want, the opportunity. The reason why they're now bidding for the Rickenbacker Marina was because they tried in meetings, and Mr. DeGrande will attest to this, and Mr. Mawani will too. They tried both sides to get together, to compromise, and to each develop a different marina. One would do Dinner Key, and the other one could do keep Rickenbacker. That way Miami gets 2 world-class marinas. And there was no agreement. And what I did, was put those 2 parties together. I met with both parties, and they both offered good ideas for each of their marinas. That's what I did. I tried to bring everybody together into a room. I couldn't put them together in a room, but I had different conversations, and then tried to get them together in a room on their own and come up with 2 proposals. But this commission, and you Commissioner Reyes, because you sponsored it, you decided that all you wanted to do was put a referendum item for 1 marina to benefit 1 vendor. That's anti-competitive. That's not in Miami's best interest, because the numbers are clear. If one side is offering more than the other, more money, more investment, I think, and I could be wrong, but more financial wherewithal to build a better class marina, and we give them the certainty that they're going to have it for 75 years, then they'll invest in it, both. Suntex Marina Corporation is an international company that runs 100 boatyards. 100 boatyards and marinas throughout the country. 100 at last count. They just bought 2 in Florida last week. They bought Monty's, the lease for Monty's, 4 months ago. They're investing in our community and our state. To disparage them, I don't know why. To benefit someone else, maybe. But not to discredit them because they're a good company. I don't care which company gets it. The better deal. Let Miamians decide. Let Miamians decide what's the better deal for Miami. That's why we have elections. But to put only one issue on the board is a disservice to democracy. It's clearly favoritism. It's clearly favoring a particular vendor and ignoring the competition that's out there to give Miamians and our city government more dollars and a world-class marina. The logical process is the one that we always do, an RFP, a legitimate RFP, an expedited RFP, where both companies can compete, present before a selection committee, and then we get a number 1 ranked bidder, number 2 ranked bidder, and we decide. At the end of the day, the game that's being played here is being played by the current vendor. To put 1 item, and it's a bad game. It's a game they're going to lose because they don't have 4 votes to pass it at the end of the day. So you can win 13 battles and lose a war. You have to get it out today, which you will. You have to go to referendum, which you may or may not win, but it's going to cost you a lot of money. And then you have to bring it back to the commission and get 4 votes. And that's not going to happen. Or at least it's a very, very difficult game. It's better to compromise and to meet with other people and to not be so greedy that you want to get everything. So that everybody, and Miami in particular, can benefit. Because I don't care about which company benefits, I care about Miami benefiting. And you could do Rickenbacker, and they could do Dinner Key, and the voters can vote on it, and it comes before this commission, and we pass it 5-0. It's kumbaya for this commission, for our city, and for our marinas. We get over $200 million of investment in our marinas. Isn't that what we want? I think that's what we should want. But let's be clear, the unpleasant conversation, we can have it some other day, because I think today is a day to have other conversations. But the exposition, which is not a diatribe, Commissioner Caro, there's a difference. The exposition has to be clear. This is favoritism towards 1 vendor and eliminating a legitimate company that wants to do good things for our city that we all should want. And a competitive bid is what democracy is all about and what we should be about. And I want to make sure that the media and the press understand this favors one vendor over a competitive process. And that's not what we should be doing here. I believe, because I just got a text from the lobbyist for Suntex. By the way, the lobbyist for Suntex is Mr. Bert Hernandez, who was arriving, and he wants to give his side of the argument. So at least let's hear his presentation and why he thinks that the company that he represents is a good company for our city and for Miamians.
Chair,
Commissioner Crowe, you recognize.
I do not think that any one of us up here could say that Commissioner Diaz-Portilla has not had sufficient time I don't know how many minutes he's taken, but between all the statements that he's made, it's a good 12, 15 minutes that he's spoken on this. The last meeting, it was more than that. And the previous, before that, he also made some statements. So the statements that he's saying that he hasn't been able to debate this. The problem is that he hasn't been able to get his way on this. The bulk of the statements that he's made here, my God, you know, I thought I was hearing Mother Teresa that came from the grave, but they're not accurate at all. You know, my brother is not hired by any of the firms that
Neither is
are
mine.
looking for this,
One at a time.
or has worked. for them,
No, that's a
or
person,
has worked for
that's
them,
just a lie.
or has worked for them.
That's a lie.
Commissioner, please.
No, you cannot allow
Nobody-
a lie like that. Because I'm not
nobody-
gonna talk about the campaign
nobody-
contributions you received from Mr. Bawani.
Commissioner, please.
Nobody.
I will not, you want me to, that's the unpleasant conversation you
Hey,
wanna
listen,
have?
You're interrupting me.
No, you're attacking my family. I happen to get along very well with my brother.
You're
Nobody's
interrupting.
And I have, no, absolutely. He just said, he's saying something that is a lie. And I will not allow the lie to happen.
Listen, you're not bad.
You're lying.
You just smell bad. That's
You're lying.
all.
You're the one who smells bad and
You're not a bad-
And you're lying.
Well, this is the whole point.
You're lying.
Every time
My brother
we
has
get
no
into a
interest in this.
discussion,
You have an interest in this because you have a preferred vendor,
Commissioner,
and I can give you the names.
The clerk cannot capture what is being said. You will speak
This-
one at a time. You will
this
have a
is what
full
happens
ability for rebuttal.
When you attack
Chair,
people, when you attack
every
people
time-
personally,
Attack
when you
anybody.
attack, absolutely, when you
Your
attack people
brother was
personally,
hired by
my
them.
brother is
The
nothing.
Suntex
My
guy
brother
told me
is my
himself.
brother is a
You had
respected
told me
lawyer.
yourself.
My brother is a respected lawyer in this community, as all my family members
he
are.
worked for them, right?
He does not.
He worked for
He
them.
does not.
He
That's
worked
a
for
lie.
them.
He does not. That is a
I don't
lie.
want to take a recess. We've
That
got
is a
lot of
lie.
work to do today. We're coming up on lunchtime. None of the public have been able to speak. I would like to get through
Chair.
what we're going to do with this item on the agenda.
Chair, this is the point that every time that he doesn't get his way, he starts
It's not a question of,
interrupting, the shouting, the fighting.
You're the one shouting.
Just one at a
nobody's
time.
shouting.
The
One at a
only
time.
way
Nobody's
that then you could try to get a word in is by having to speak louder.
Nah.
This has happened
One at a
meeting
time.
after meeting, and Chair, this has to stop. We have
It does.
one member of this commission that wants to do it his way every time. He talks about cordiality, respect.
Collegiality.
So he's had plenty to say. He didn't even know before who he wanted to bring to speak further on this.
I did.
I stand in the statement that I made before. As you stated, Chair, he doesn't have the right to pick a time that he wants or not. The chair does, and if the body wants to overrule the chair, it can. But none of that has happened, and we need to bring this to a head so that this game that he's playing comes to an end.
What's your motion, Commissioner?
Nobody's playing a game.
Just a moment, Commissioner. What is your motion, Commissioner?
What's the motions on the floor?
There is not one on the floor at the
I
moment.
thought it was a motion to defer.
Not yet.
You know, I'm going to make a motion to, which of the two items again, Commissioner?
RE7 is the current tenant that we voted last meeting to place on the ballot.
Okay, I'm going to start with that, and then we're going to go into his items. I'm going to make a motion that we accept the language to go on the ballot on RE7.
RE7, there's a motion, seconded by the chair.
Chairman,
Yes, Madam City Attorney.
for this item, I need to amend the addresses. So I'm going to place all the addresses so that there is no question of the location.
The what, please?
Addresses.
Addresses.
All the addresses, because it has several addresses, and I don't want to just put one address.
Okay,
So we're going to amend that, so it'll be as amended.
okay, as amended. All right?
Thank you. Is there anyone here from the public who'd like to speak on RE7? Approved Charter Amendment, Biscayne Marine Partners, LLC. Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Is there a representative of Biscayne Marine Partners, LLC here? Mr. DeGrande, how are you?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners.
Thank you. I have a question for you because a lot of what's been brought here is about the difference between what one company is offering now in a process that's almost coming to a close. The amount you are offering is to the city as a return on this lease is equivalent, if I'm not mistaken, or more than the maximum bid on the last two RFP processes that we went through. Is that correct?
That is correct, but also the item tells you that there will be 2 independent appraisals. So we're talking about floors, not ceilings.
So the floor is the 2.5 million base rent.
My understanding it is.
And that is equivalent to the maximum bid in a fair and open process that we've had twice over the last 7 years.
Yes, and more than $2.75.
So the idea theoretically is that we have gone through a competitive process and the maximum bid has come about. However, today, as like I said, a Hail Mary, it's not an unethical move, but it is a last attempt to become the lessee for
To stop
the
your
lessor.
favoritism. To stop your favoritism. It is.
Please, Commissioner.
That's exactly
You're
what
just
you're
being
doing.
rude at this point and interrupting.
No. You have to recognize me on every item that you're...
I really don't. When
Actually,
you're
you do.
interrupting people, you do not need to be recognized.
Actually, I do need to recognize you.
You don't.
You don't make that choice.
Commissioner, we don't need to play these games.
I know, no, stop.
You don't need to be a peanut gallery to everybody's comments. We don't need to
No.
have this back and forth right now. I am addressing this person at the lectern.
I think he's going to address us.
You will have the ability to address him. You'll have the
course.
ability to address
Good.
me. But
That's
you
all.
don't need to interrupt every commissioner as they
Then you
speak.
recognize me.
The other company that is representing RE13 and RE14 through Commissioner Diaz-Labortilla is offering, if I'm not mistaken, $250,000 more in base rent. Is that
No, sir. They're offering $2.75 in rent.
That's a
That's what I
typo.
saw on paper.
That's a typo.
So if we take that for a typo and it's actually 2.75 million, it would be $250,000 more than what your client is offering. Is that correct?
Yes, but it should give you some pause when a company cannot even review and correct a one-page unsolicited proposal.
That's a trivial typo, but I think the intention there is a 2.75 million. My question to you is, would your client be open to matching what that amount is that's being offered, which is greater than the maximum amount that's been offered in any bid proposal process that we've had on this property? And if so, my request, and I've stated this throughout the last 2 proposal processes over the last 7 years, I have been seeking a funding source for the Virginia Key Beach Park Trust, and I believe the funding that should help this body, this African American museum that we're looking to put there, that the county has $19 million in hold until we find the operating funds and maintenance funds for which, would we be willing to fund that museum? Because the idea is revenues generated on the island should help complete the master plan of the island, of which the Virginia Key Virginia Key Historic Beach Park Trust is a part of that master plan, as is your Marina space. Would your client be willing to fill that delta?
I missed, and I apologize because I was trying to get a response from my client, so I missed part of the issue about the museum. I could tell you certainly my client understands that what is being proposed are floor amounts. My client understands there will be 2 independent appraisals. My client understands that even if the citizens are generous and approve that referendum, there will be a protracted negotiation. And I think all those things are on the table in that negotiation. So,
And he understands that just because the citizens agree to that, if no negotiation is made that this commission and the manager do not agree to, he is not entitled to this.
that is what that is what I said.
Let me be clear. Here's my ask. The ask is that your client increase their base rent to the 2.75, 10% of which would go to the Virginia Key Beach Park Trust on an annual basis.
Okay, hold on.
And if this happens, no one will ever say that we ignored a higher bid, because this will be the highest bid that we've received on this property in its history.
Agreed.
You agreed that what I just
Agreed.
said, or you just agreed to the terms?
I agree to what you just said and your terms.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Chair,
Commissioner.
just a quick segment. Look, the 2.5, I'm sure that Suntex will come now and say they'll give 3, and this is the game. The minimum rent that in the 8 years that we've been going through this, and it started 3 firms bid in the first RFP, then 2 firms. Now you're left with 50% of the other firm, Suntex alone now, that's coming out and offering. Those are minimum, whether it's them or the others, minimum amounts that are guaranteed that what we will be receiving in actuality each year is going to be much greater than anything that is the minimum amount. That minimum amount is only good for one thing. If you have a pandemic that they don't make enough money and they're stuck then in paying the city. If you have an act of God forbid, that there's no money coming in because we've had a major hit in our economy because of something that's happened, then they're stuck in paying that minimum fee. But every year, what we will be getting from that particular site is going to be much, much greater than any amount of minimum rent, whether it's $2.5 million or $2,750,000 or $3 million. Now, on top of that, and this is what is not being discussed or looked at or talked about, what is the total investment, Mr. DeGrande, that is being made into that marina?
It's approximately $115 million.
Okay.
And maybe as high as 128.
Okay, so somewhere between 115 and 128 million. I'll take the 115 for now. The first part of the contract is how many years?
The first part, I believe, is 45 years.
45. You're talking about, and this is without even breaking it down in present day value, which would make it much greater. You're talking that if you break the amount during the 45 years, it will be some $3 million more per year. That, in essence, the city is receiving through the back end because we don't have that money to invest, and we don't have to invest it. So right off the start, you're not guaranteeing just 2.5 or 2.75. You're guaranteeing an additional approximately $3 million per year because of what you're going to invest in that project. So let's, if we're going to talk numbers and millions, let's get the millions and the numbers right.
Commissioner, would you accept the amendment to increase the base rent to 2.75?
Of course, even though for me, between 2.5 and 2.75, it's irrelevant for the reasons that I clearly have stated here. That's not the only money we're going to receive. That's the last resort if our whole economy crashes.
This is in order to make the ballot language clear.
Yeah. But the other thing that I want to state in the record, so we don't start debating this whole thing even more. All that we are discussing here on 7 is not whether you like it or not or whatever, it's the ballot language. That's all. Everything else was discussed at the last meeting. What's before us today is strictly ballot language.
Madam City Attorney, can you amend the ballot language based on this amendment to increase the base rent to 2.75, of which 10% would go to the Virginia Beach Park Trust within the 75-word limit?
So that's what I wanted to ask you. It's just 10% that would go to the Virginia Key Trust, correct?
Yes.
The rest would go back to the
city.
Okay. And then Yes, we can amend that within the 75 words. We will obviously do tweaking, so it will be amended a little bit in order to get it on the ballot, but the basic points you've described.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Commissioner Diaz-Portillo, you recognized.
Well, I have questions of Mr. DeGrande first. And just for your edification, Commissioner Carollo, and yours, Commissioner Russell. Commissioner Carollo, if you want to talk numbers, we could do that. And it's very simple, because you're only talking about 2.5 and 2.75, but you're ignoring all the other numbers. Mr. DeGrande, and then I'll ask the city attorney a question about what the ballot language says about the minimum investment, the actual amount, the 115 million that you say you're going to invest. Have you studied the Suntex Marina investments proposal?
The one-page proposal?
Yeah, well, no, the one that's before you today. The one-page proposal. Have you studied that one?
Yes, it was read by the manager fully in the last meeting.
Right. So you're aware that you're offering 6% of wet and dry storage, and they're offering 7% of wet and dry storage? Are you aware of that?
I'm aware that that's what the item says.
You read the proposal. Are you aware that you're offering 6% of fuel sales, and they're offering 7% of fuel sales?
I'm aware that those are the two floors.
Are you aware that they're offering 4% of sublease and other income, and they're offering 7% of sublease income? All sublease income.
I'm aware those are the two
3
floors.
percentage points more. Are you also aware that there's no language in the ballot language that says that you have to invest $115 million? Are you aware of that?
I am aware of that.
So the voters, when they go vote, and you have done a lot of election law, and you've written ballot language before, they're not going to see that you're investing $115 million. And you really don't have to invest $115 million, right? Because the negotiation will take place after the referendum. The voters are not going to see that.
Yeah, and I don't think the current item on Suntex also has an investment amount.
It has a minimum of $100 million. So maybe you didn't read the proposal, read it again. It has a minimum.
What is on your agenda today has that?
The proposal. Has
The
a
ballot
minimum.
language?
No, the ballot language has to have, according to the instructions that I gave the city attorney, the amount of the minimum investment, so the voters can see when they make the decision that there's actually $100 million minimum investment.
Right, that one has.
That was a question. That was actually the question of the city attorney. So let's let her answer it.
Yes, it has the minimum 100 million investment.
So
Was that the ballot language that was directed by the city commission for the attorney to draft?
No, that was a ballot language that I discussed with the city.
Right, that's what's on the agenda today that hasn't been
That I
voted
discussed with
on.
the city attorney, because I'm a commissioner and it's my proposal. This is not an unsolicited bid anymore. This now comes from a city commissioner.
Okay.
So it's my item.
You're
And
right.
I spoke to my city attorney and I said, I want the ballot language to reflect certain things. Among those things that I want the ballot language to reflect is a minimum investment of $100 million. Your ballot language does not say that.
Does not say
It's not just your word.
Well,
I mean your client's word, sorry.
Yeah, I would think, Commissioner, that once that representation has been made in an open hearing, if after the referendum, assuming it is successful, my client would do anything less, I would assume that every one of you would have a problem with that. So I don't see a concern.
And the difference in percentages, is that reflected? I'm sorry, let me go to our city attorney now. Is that reflected?
The percentages that your item has are higher than the ones on RE7.
So for the record to be clear, and for your edification, it's not only, you want to talk numbers? It's not only 2.5 million and 2.75 million. It's substantially more percentage of everything. Every sublease income, retail, fuel sales, everything, over a 75-year period. A lot more numbers are guaranteed, and a minimum investment of 100 million, not somebody's word. It could be a good word, by the way, but in black and white. And that's what we're debating. What we're debating is the difference between a much better proposal than we're picking today, which we will, because it may be 4-1. Who cares? Who cares? That's not important. What's important is it's good for Miamians. What's important is that we offer them choices and a better deal. And so here's a comparison sheet of both proposals so that everybody can see it, the media and everybody can see it, the difference. And this commission, led by you, Commissioner Russell, with your proposal, is going to put on the ballot a lesser proposal than a different vendor. That's what we're telling them. Instead of saying, you guys come and compete, and now you know what the numbers are, right? So it's easier.
Well, we also know Suntec's numbers in the last RFP included an $80 million only investment and lower percentages.
Right,
So
but that
the
was
competitive process-
that was 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Well,
Yeah,
but
we're
if
talking
I
about moving forward. Let's forget about the past.
But if I may finish, Commissioner, there have been 2 competitive processes.
I know.
They
And
have
your client
vetted
lost
the
them
different
both,
proposals.
but your client lost both.
My client's proposal hasn't changed. Suntex also lost.
Okay, am I may? But your client lost both, didn't he?
So did Suntex.
Okay, so that's why. Let's go moving forward, and do an RFP process. What's the reluctance from your client to have a competitive process? Why do you want to be the only game in town?
Commissioners?
Here we go.
I have the floor.
If I may.
He's the attorney.
This process has taken, and actually, if you want, I could actually go into my presentation because the first RFP was numbered 12-14-17. I actually can't find a date. It's so old that we actually shredded our records, but I believe it either came out in 2014 or sometime in 2015. The second one, which was 011, came out in February of 2017, okay? We're here today in mid-year of 2021. This marina could have already been built. The opportunity cost of the last 6 years is huge. And if you want to go into another competitive process and spend another 3 or 4 years in protests, et cetera, that's another 3 or 4 years of opportunity. Now, it is for you, it is a policy decision as to what you want to do. Do you feel that the last 2 RFP processes have given you sufficient information to determine who should proceed to award of a future bid? That is what I believe the thinking of the chair is in setting that item. Now, again, it is up to you. It is a policy decision for you all to make as to where you want to go. But the point is, there have been a lot of misstatements made here that Suntex won the first proposals. They did not. As a matter of fact, both their attorney and our attorney filed a bid protest. In the second RFP, they joined with a company that had been convicted based on defrauding the U.S. Coast Guard. They joined with a company that lied to the selection committee, and that was proven through affidavits. They joined with a phantom company that had judgments against it, and they joined, last but not least, with a company that created the biggest spill of sewage in the history of our city, in our bay. And so you need to factor whether someone like that is responsible also, because those are all the things that were vetted in the last 2 RFPs. And it wasn't only, hey, my client's the incumbent, so he should win. I assume that you all have done an analysis of those 6 years, of those 2 procurement processes, of the fact that Suntex didn't win either, of the fact that they joined with companies of very questionable reputations, and my client's proposal has been consistent throughout. And so it is a policy decision for you to make. Do you want to potentially spend another 6 years in a procurement battle where, as you can see, obviously, there are I'll do a little more, I'll do $5 less, I'll do $5 more, or do you want to say, we have substantially complied with the public policy for competitive bidding, we've actually done it twice, and we are satisfied based on that as to which company we want to proceed with. And again, it is your policy decision to make.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on the item?
Yeah, let me
Commissioner Watson, you're recognized.
just find out. Because we throw around a lot of things, and I've come to find out in a very short period of time, our processes are not always perfect. First of all, I want to say, look, we have a lot of family businesses doing great business in this town. This is a town of family businesses. Gotten big, started small, and done a lot of good work. So I don't ever want to really besmirch companies that are family operations because they've been here, they've grown up here, and they've been productive in the space that they've occupied. That's one. 2, I want to talk about processes. And I think the good part about dialogue is we find out information and we use that as a basis for what we decide. Our processes around here, some of them suck big time, right? Anywhere from trying to provide a boat ramp that takes 12 years. How in the world can you take 12 years to do a boat ramp? I can't understand. But we have bad processes, and we're hopefully on the road to trying to correct them. To current processes, and Commissioner Reyes is, in some respect, bypassing a process that I also want to bypass. That's what you do at your yard, code friendly is what you do. What we do at our streets, we should not have to ask or go have you tally a vote with what we do at our streets. They are the city streets. But we have to do that. And so we found ourselves supporting overriding processes because sometimes we have to respond today and not tomorrow. Investment to be made. The good part about investment to be made is that they will put in that dialogue amendment, the minimum investment, and it'll be on the record for the voters and everybody to see. And the manager negotiate those percentages going down the road after the fact. I agree with you. I've heard the dialogue of a world-class marina for so long, I'm sick. We got more marinas and golf courses around here than anybody. And so that's really not a signature, but we should not now have lost opportunity costs. Lost opportunity costs. Last marina, world-class marina, cost us how much? $20 million. Okay? Cost us $20 million, city, trying to get a world-class marina. So at the end of the day, just do the business and pay us our rent money, which is what we're most concerned about. And this process has cost us 7 years and lost money. And to that end, I wouldn't invest in it if I don't have a solid ironclad agreement to get my money back. Then why should anybody do that, right? And so from that perspective, all those processes notwithstanding, your client will choose to make a gamble. It's about processes, right? And none of our processes are perfect, whether it's an RFP, and you're the master for overturning RFPs. You are, okay? You are, notwithstanding. I know you are a master, right? But right now, we're talking about a simple process. And if your client wants to gamble on the process, okay, in order to move this forward, then we move R7 and put this charter amendment language on the ballot, including the minimum $115 million investment so the voters can see it, and then we go from there, right? And that's what I'd like to see happen. What we do downstream is something different, but at least let's move this along so that we can then have the rest of the discussions, if there is going to be any at all.
Thank you. Any further comments?
Real quick, Chairman, so we can bring this to a head. We had 2 requests for proposals within the last 7-8 years. The companies that we hired to give us the worth of this marina, in other words, what they were suggesting to the city that should be the minimum payment. They're offering much more than that. On top of that, once this goes to the voters, and if it's approved by the voters, then it's where the real negotiations begin, like other projects that we're dealing with now and have dealt with in the past in the city. That's where the city administration has to, first of all, hire 2 additional firms to come back to us and tell us if what they're offering is market rate or not. Then secondly, the administration and the commission has the obligation and the right, even though it's approved by the voters, to negotiate upwards more and to make further requests before it comes to a final vote of this commission. So I call the question, Chair.
The question has been called. All in favor of the item say aye.
Aye.
You may need
Yes,
public
Madam City
comment,
Attorney.
if anybody,
We
public comment.
already did public comment? We already closed public comment?
Yes, it was opened at 11:45 and closed thereafter.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to clarify really quick that the addresses of the amendments that you requested, I may need to put generally before the addresses because we don't have like the sketches, but we know more or less where the location of this lease holds and the Marine Stadium Marina. And then we're revising the amounts as described.
So,
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, real quick. So you're just adding addresses, that's not an amendment.
I'm sorry?
You just changed, you're correcting addresses, that's not an amendment.
Right, it will be an amended, it's as amended.
The other
Okay,
amendment has been captured by the mover and the seconder.
So the museum has been captured already.
Yes.
And the
additional
museum,
funds.
10%.
And the minimum investment,
The two,
The minimum investment of 100 million?
115, is that been captured?
115 million, okay. Is
that was not captured in an amendment. Is that
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
would you like to make that amendment?
I thought that's what was committed to, the language for the voters so they'll know exactly what's being invested in this project.
So 115 million is what you're asking for as an investment?
Well, that's what I heard being thrown around.
Is that already in the
That
ballot?
is not on.
That's not
on
in
the
language.
commission
We want to make sure the voters know it,
RE7
that's all.
Or is it in the backup?
On the RE7 item, it is not there.
Okay. Commissioner Watson, is that something you were asking for as a commitment within the
What
backup?
what I'm saying, it should be a part of what the voters see that they're making. They've said it's fine with them. That was other language. Their minimum, they should know what they're voting for and what they should be getting, what they're paying for.
Does the mover and seconder agree with that? He would like to see
The minimum investment
the minimum
amount?
investment that the applicant would be providing into the property, in addition to the base rent, percentage rent.
The problem that I see is, can we fiddle that in the limited amount of words that we have?
I agree. And so, because I've been on the other side of trying to read that stuff, and it's
That's
confusing.
the problem. I mean, the way I look at it is to their advantage, the city's advantage, for the voters to pass it, if they see that. But I don't know how.
Right,
it
our
would fit.
drafts have it under the 75 words. The draft when we, because we had to massage the RE13 and RE15, RE14 item to have the capital. So that has that already. So we already have the drafts, but I'm just telling you I have to amend it in order to put the addresses.
I will tell you that, as I said before, once, if this is passed, it comes back to negotiations.
Right.
I would not go forward unless we have that guarantee.
Right.
Madam City Attorney, if it doesn't fit into the ballot language, but it's in the backup of the resolution, is
It
it
has
binding?
to be in the, it has to be in the,
It's not binding.
right, it has to be in the language of the ballot. But remember, they're just, the people are authorizing you to enter into this
Understood.
agreement. If this agreement is not what you expected with all the minimum floors and all that, obviously you do not have to enter into it. It is not a guarantee, it is an authorization that is needed in the charter.
Madam,
That's right.
Well,
Madam.
yeah, let me just finish then. The only, I don't know how much the public in voting gets out of 2%, 3%. But if you have a baseline investment amount, that's easier for them to digest. That's all I'm asking. And so maybe you take out all those percentages, because you guys will deal with the percentages. But at least the public will know, because every time I hear somebody talking about Miami Forever 21, they know one number, okay? That $300 million, right? So at least the public will know the baseline amount. The percentages you guys are going to deal with. And so I don't, whatever information is best to inform them who are voting, then that's all I'm asking. I'm not trying to change the commissioner's intent.
So if that fits within the ballot language, you'd like to see the 115 million added in, is that right,
Well,
Commissioner?
particularly as opposed to all those percentages, that the public is not going to be able to understand that to make a decision. Just so that, if that's something that makes sense. If not, it's fine.
The percentages for RE7 are staying as is, right?
Correct.
Okay. It's easy enough to place the percentage. It's only at the beginning of several, but all that is a base.
Got it. Any further discussion?
Well, a clarification.
Yes.
Is 115, Madam Attorney, is $115 million included in the ballot language now? Is there an amendment of that?
It's not now, but I believe that's what you're voting on right now, to include that 115 million capital.
Investment, if it
Investment.
fits within the 75 limit.
It fits.
Minimum, if she already told you.
And
Minimum.
does the mover?
No, I'm sorry,
accept?
minimum 115 million. Because you spoke between 115 and 128, I think you said, right? So it's a minimum of 115.
Right.
It could be more.
You know, I think, commissioners, if you want to get into 75 words, you know, the less words, the better. Certainly, I don't have an objection with including the minimum amount. I don't have an objection with not including it because, as I said before, I'm looking at 5 elected officials in the face right now, and I know that if anyone, not my client, anyone came and said, I'm going to do 115 million, then said, no, I'm going to do 70, you're not going to approve an agreement. So I don't think the voters need to be concerned in any way about this.
No, they will be concerned with it because, no. So it has to be.
Madam City Attorney, your job is to put the wording and see if you could do it within the
It
75
fits,
words.
it fits. Trust me, it fits.
Let us worry about what the voters will worry about or not. Can you quickly include a minimum? You know, I'm glad that Commissioner Diaz-Portilla, before he said that he wanted minimum 100, now he wants minimum 115.
The more the
They
better
have
for
no
Miami.
problem.
The more the better for Miami.
And this was all, and I made it clear a few minutes ago, that in negotiations, whether it was on the ballot language or not, it had to be part of it. Otherwise, it wasn't going to get voted upon at that time, which is the final vote after the people vote on it. Can you quickly put, and this is another dilemma now, because we have to keep it within 75 words. Can you quickly put that language in what we have now and still keep it within 75 words?
I think we can, because we've already done a few versions of this. So I would prefer if you would allow me to draft it, make the edits, and give it back to you so that you could bless it so that there's no question later.
Okay, you will do it by what time today?
Oh, I am just a little while. Are
Okay.
we breaking for, well,
Right,
yeah,
so-
right, by today, by when we come back
Okay,
after
so
the CRA
then
meeting.
if I can, let's table this until she comes back with the wording. And let's take up 13 now, RE 13.
Okay, so we're tabling RE7,
Yes.
and the commissioner would like to take up RE 13 and 14, I assume.
Yes.
Well, 14 only if 13 passes. Otherwise, you don't have to take up 14.
What's your motion?
My motion is I'm going to put a motion so we can vote it up and down. I'm going to make a motion for RE 13. I'm sure Commissioner Diaz-Portilla is going to second it.
Well, no, I'm actually going to do something a little bit different if you allow me. To save us a little
So
bit of time.
there's a motion been made. Is there a second? Motion dies for lack of second. Commissioner Diaz-Portilla, you have a motion.
So for the record to reflect that both RE 13 and RE 14 provides to the city of Miami substantially more dollars than RE 7 will ever do. That's important to know. I move that we defer both R 13 and R 14
To what date?
to the next commission meeting, September 13th, I believe it is now.
Is there, it wouldn't make the ballot if it were placed on that agenda.
Of course not.
So what's the purpose?
The purpose to defer is that we can have more conversations as we move forward before, because we still have till September 3rd, I think, to put something on the ballot, correct?
Not sure, but you're close.
I'm close, right?
If you're not there, you're close.
I'm somewhere around there, yeah.
So
there could be a
there's a
special.
motion to defer.
Because what happens is that you need to continue to try to change hearts and minds. And to have an entire month so people can see that something is good for the city of Miami, we give it that time. So we defer it to the next agenda, but we could always call a special meeting earlier to try to fit it in. That's the idea behind it.
So
That's
there's a
my
motion
motion.
to defer RE 13 and 14 to September 13th. Is there a second? Motion dies for lack of second. Is there a motion to withdraw RE 13 and 14?
I move to withdraw RE 13 and RE 14.
Is there a second to withdraw RE 13 and 14? Seconded by the chair. Any further discussion on, well, let me open for public comment. Is there anyone here to comment on the withdrawal of RE 13 and RE 14? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Any comment from the dais? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes to withdraw RE 13 and RE 14. Madam City Attorney, how much time do you need to draft the language for the full 75
Are you
words?
taking a break?
Can-
Are you
wanna
taking
can
a
I
break?
do-
Are you doing the
while-
CRA meeting?
Yeah, while we're sitting here, we do the CRA meeting, take 10 minutes, and then she'll come back with the
CRA?
language.
Yeah, and I do want to address this. There are 46 people who are signed up to speak for public comment who have been here now for 3.5 hours. And if we break for lunch, we don't come back till 3 p.m. So we also have the option, gentlemen, to address our residents and hear from them for the next 30 minutes to an hour, and then break for lunch after 1. Does that sound fair to our residents, our bosses?
Absolutely. I do have to apologize. I have something with the mayor that I have to step out, I don't know how long, but it is extremely important for this community. And I'm going to have to step out for a few minutes to meet with him.
Commissioner Watson, is it all right with you if we take up public comment, and after public comment, take up the CRA meeting?
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Have
sir.
we finished with the order of the day?
No, sir.
Okay, because I wanted to sponsor that, co-sponsor, CA2.
CA2 co-sponsorship noted.
Yes, sir. Co-sponsor.
Thank you. I also wanted to be noted as a sponsor for RE3 and PZ10. Let's just finish the order of the day, and then we can get into public comment. And then once we break for lunch, we'll take up the CRA meeting, and we'll just be running behind on a little bit of everything. So for the order of the day, are there any other items to be withdrawn, deferred, or continued from the commission, other than what the manager has said already and other commissioners have said already?
Do you want me to read that list again?
Sure.
Understood. To defer to September 13th, RE11. To defer to September 23rd, FR2. To defer to September 13th, PZ13. To defer to October 14th, PZ1. To defer to September 23rd, DI2. To defer to September 13th, PZ11. And that's all I have.
That is what I have as well. All right. Is there a motion on the order of the day?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Diaz-Portilla, seconded by the chair. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, everyone. We'll now move into public comment. We're going to take up public comment till 1 p.m. And then those who don't make it through will have to, when we reconvene the meeting after lunch. I apologize about that. So each of you will have 2 minutes to speak on your item. Please state the item on the agenda on which you are here to speak. If you are not here to speak on an agenda item, I please ask that you allow someone who is here to speak on an agenda item to go first, because they are here on a timely fashion to be speaking about something that is taken up in the business of the day. So all we need is your name. You don't have to state your address, but I need your name, the item you're speaking on, and you have 2 minutes. You'll hear a beep at about 30 seconds. Please wrap it up at the end of that 30 seconds, so I don't have to remind you, and we can go right into the next person. We do value your opinion, but we need to be fair and get to everyone as efficiently as possible. Good morning. You are recognized.
Can I go?
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much. My God, what an incredible teaching all of you has given us on what a negotiation should look like. So first of all, my name is Sulmari Padin, and I am here for R59731 about the emergency housing situation that we're going through right now. Thank you, everybody, for listening and paying attention, because this can happen to all of you. So thank you, first of all, to everybody in our last meeting, for all the commissioners, Jeffrey Watson that put in the word, and Ken Russell. Excuse me. that help us mediate with the lawyers of AMCO. I really appreciate that effort that you put in for that to happen. I did absolutely everything that the lawyers and in the mediation table and our lawyer requested us to do.
Please, everyone, if you're having conversations, please take it outside. Sorry to interrupt.
Thank you so much for that. So I did absolutely everything that I was requested to do. And unfortunately, there's been a disconnect in the process with the lawyers. And I'm still in a situation where I still feel they have still sent me yet another letter threatening me that if I stay in this apartment, I'm going to be a holdover tenant. So at this point, what I've learned is that if you do everything that I was called to do with your help, and I still don't have a solution to my situation because they have not followed through with me, even though I'm doing everything, I don't know what else to do. But what I do know, that I have been looking at the laws that have been going across the United States, is that the government, under this pandemic situation, does have the power to override many things under this emergency situation. So I really need help because I still have not given the resources that I need to be able to move out.
Got it. If there is a disconnect that we can solve today, what I'd like to ask is if there's a representative of AMCO or their attorneys, are they here?
Yes, they are.
All right, I will let the residents commandeer my office. If you can speak here in public comment, but as they have issues that they address, I don't want you to come up here and respond to them and go back and forth. I'd rather you all meet in my office and see if you can get some resolution.
Today,
in this
now?
moment. Yes.
So
yes.
how many residents are here from Hamilton and the Bay? Can you please stand up? Okay, so at what time are we going to have that meeting?
No. This is one by one. Anyone who's got a specific issue, because I know they're dealing with residents individually, I'm making my office available for all of you. And since the lawyers are here and you're here today, hopefully you can get some resolution.
But the thing is that in order for us to have a group mediation, this one-on-one process, I'm here to tell you that it's not working. Right? So me sitting again with the lawyer to say the same thing that I already did, an email that I already sent, information that I already gave, and me getting an email saying that I'm going to be a holdover tenant is the response that I got. Without any response from them, it's not going to be helpful because it's just another conversation. Can we have a meeting with you and all of us and the lawyer so you can actually really be a mediator and see what's going on and we can come to a conclusion?
Sure. I'm happy to do that. I did mediate the first situation with you all, and I'm happy to continue to help. That's part of my job. That's my role. And so I'm happy to set that venue for you. But what I'm hoping is today, at least, if there is a disconnect where you've made a request and haven't gotten an answer, that you have a face-to-face with them now independently.
I just had a face-to-face this week.
Okay.
And they said they will get back to me.
Okay.
And they will help, and it hasn't happened. And in the meantime, we have spent all this time speaking about a marina, which I understand is very important for Miami. But I am going to be a tenant. There's all these people that are going to be out of a home in a month from now. And I'm doing absolutely everything. I don't know what else to do. I don't know how to be nice, patient, polite. What else do I have to do? Do I have to be screaming like Carollo and Alex de Portilla to be heard and understood and help? I don't know what else to do.
The problem, Mr. Chair.
Emotionally, I am in a stress. I'm in bills. I cannot build my business. What else do I do? I need your help today to sit down with all of us. We are here with the lawyer, just the way you just both did with this bidder about a marina. Because it's my life and I'm a constituent.
Yeah, that sounds good, Mr. Chair. Let me just say
yes,
right quick.
you're recognized.
That sounds great. But here's the problem. The marina we talked about is our asset. The attorney for them is right behind you, and you're talking about their asset. And so what the chair offered, you should go back there now and talk to him right there, because that's who I spoke to make sure I did what I did. So, and they've answered individually. You should go back there right now with him, and if it doesn't get answered, when you come out, then you come back. But in fairness to us, we were talking about our asset. That's what's been offered because we have no ability to affect that man's client's business. We don't. We've already said that. So right now, what he's offering is to make sure before you leave today, you get some sort of satisfaction because hollering and screaming is not going to get it for you. And I understand what you're saying, but you were a renter in a building that has gotten sold to someone, and he's here. I would take an opportunity to talk to him to figure out something right now. That's what we'll do. If that's all that you've done, then you should do that. And I'm not asking anybody's number. I'm just saying,
so what I'm
that's what should be
hearing,
done.
so what I'm hearing is, and I want to recap to make sure I got these items correct, is that right now I'm going to go into an office right here with this lawyer of AMCO. And I'm going to one more time do what I have been told to do. And if I one more time get the same answer, which is none or no resolution to my situation, then I'm going to come back here and you are going to help me?
No, ma'am. Let me recap for you because I understand your frustration. I can't even imagine what all of the residents are going through, not knowing what your future is. So you come to us as your elected leadership for help. I understand that. Now, what I'd like you to ask you to understand from our side is we are not saying a marina is more important than you having a place to live. The marina is on our agenda today. The Hamilton is not. As your city commissioner, without this entire body here, as your city commissioner, I am happy to help mediate this situation in my office with you all. But today is commission day where we have an agenda item and probably 15 hours of work to do. I cannot drop all of this and mediate for you today. You came here today because this is the venue where you will get the most exposure for your item, where the press is here, where all the commissioners are here, where the administration is here. But what you have is a civil issue between you and your landlord that we are trying to help you with. We are trying to help you with. And if there's a legislative ability for us to help you with that, we're happy to help with that too. But no legislation has been proffered at this time. I'm happy to do that if our legal department can guide us, and if my policy advisors can guide us, and your representatives can guide us, I'm happy to write legislation to help protect residents and bring it as an emergency ordinance. Because I understand you're under a time crunch, but there's no physical way for me to solve your personal problem and then each person's personal problem today during city commission. But you have their attorney here, and it won't be me in the office, but it will be my policy director helping you in there communicate together and see if we can get to resolution on your issue. You may not get there today. I can't promise that. I can't take responsibility for that. But I'm here to help you and make sure your voices are heard, that the press is hearing you, and that the landlord is hearing you as well. So you have done exactly what you need to do today, and we will do our best to help you get resolution, I promise.
So what you're saying is that this eviction that it's right now going through, when we're not even in an eviction, we shouldn't be because we're paying our rent in a market in Miami that's about to have a moratorium on July 31st that will have evictions will take into place, that the whole America is going through a problem of homeless problems. It's not really something that is a priority for Miami?
It is. It is.
So if it is, and I'd done everything, and I already had I was part of this meeting in this mediation process with your office and with the lawyers, and there was no resolution. They didn't get back with me with absolutely nothing. Then how is it that I am going to have yet now another conversation?
Do you want to have the conversation or not, though? Because this is my offer to help. This is all I can do in this moment.
Okay, so no problem. I'm going to go have where is she? Good. I'm going to go have, my name is Sulmari Padin. I'm going to go have a conversation with him, which will be the third lawyer that I talked to so far. And I'm going to see what he has to offer. And then see if he does something for me. And I guess at the end of the day, if he doesn't, leadership is about results. And in this commission, there is power to make things happen, especially when us as constituents can no longer have no more thing or nothing else to do. So I will count that if that does not resolve, I will come back to you, and then you guys will be able to help me and find other ways to help me. Do I have that commitment?
You have that commitment from me.
Thank you for all of you.
Thank you for your comments.
Mr. Chair, I also want to put on the record, the City of Miami, through its ERA program, eviction rental assistance, has assisted 330 residents already, right? Just want to let that be known.
Got it.
Good. Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Greg Frank. I'm here to speak on SR1, item 9227. I'm a constituent from zip code 33137. Please vote no on SR1. The Planning and Zoning Board review is necessary to limit the abuses of large corporate landlords. Additionally, as a resident of Hamilton on the Bay, I'm here to tell you that AIMCO Air Communities has still not done right by us, and that is the source of her frustration. So I appreciate that offer, but we have already done what you asked us to do and what the other commissioners asked us to do. We already did what our attorney asked us to do, David Winker, and we already did what the Weiss and Sirota attorneys asked us to do. AIMCO says, however, that we are committing vandalism when we are not breaking anything. They say we are trespassing when we are entering areas that we live outside of construction hours. They say we are endangering our families when there's no danger in sight. AIRC has not done the job they said they would do. They said they would meet with tenants individually to work with our specific needs. Then when the building manager, Carlos, met with the tenants, he said that he's only authorized to provide assistance for less than 20% of the damages and fixed expenses that are forced onto us. All the while, AIMCO continues to make the building a hazardous and unlivable environment with construction that threatens tenants every day with falling debris, inaccessible common areas, and deafening noise. Their strategy is clear. They want to delay as long as possible before meeting tenants' needs. They hope that we will move out soon, but because tenants still don't have the resources to do so, we are instead forced to endure further abuse and neglect from AIRC's retaliatory and illegal reprisals. In conclusion, commissioners, will you please issue a stop work order until Air Communities and AIMCO reaches a tenant benefits agreement with our entire group?
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes, Commissioner Russell, Commissioner Watson for staying around to hear the public comment. My name is Anthony Parrish, offices at 3678 Grand Avenue, Coconut Grove. I'm here to speak on SR1 as a private citizen who is currently serving on the Planning, Zoning, and Appeals Board, also known as PZAB. PZAB is a diverse volunteer board with citizens who are lawyers, engineers, climate specialists, businessmen, realtors, and developers. All of us are seeking the best for the city of Miami and its residents. This SR1 seeks to limit PZAB's ability to defer any item that comes before the board to 60 days maximum. This is a very, very bad idea. First, note that the majority of projects are built by right, so they don't go to PZAB at all. Second, the only projects reviewed by the board are those that request special permits or new entitlements. In other words, they usually want upzonings, significant upzonings, and only developers want those rules changed for them. Third, except for reasons like COVID-19 or lack of a quorum or lack of a meeting hall, PZAB always tries to move items to a vote as quickly as possible. And you can watch our meetings to see that that's the case. In my 3 years on the board, I have never once seen deferrals except to gather more needed information. Deferral is a tool that PZAB and also you use to achieve compromise with residents and community organizations in neighborhoods where new, large, and intrusive developments are proposed. Increased traffic and gentrification are usually the main neighborhood issues. I'll finish up. Meeting with neighbors and neighborhood associations takes time. Time is money. Developers hate delay. Therefore, all of them try hard to meet with neighbors quickly, almost all of them. Only a very, very few resist and merely pretend to meet with neighbors. PZAB's role in Miami 21 is spelled out in Article 7, including its rules of procedure. PZAB makes its own lawful internal rules of procedure, including for deferrals. Please note, in the years that I've been there, the 3 years that I've been there, that only one developer has ever been repeatedly deferred for any length of time. When that developer complained in court, the court agreed with PZAB. PZAB has the right and the duty to defer any applicant that does not make good faith effort to comply with PZAB's legitimate request. If this were not so, why arbitrarily say 60 days? Why not 90 days? In fact, you could require PZAB to make its decision at the very first time an applicant comes before us. You could do that. And then you could get on with it, which is what sometimes the developer wants.
Mr. Parrish, So, and the 2 minutes are well past expired, but I have a question for you. You're my appointee to the PZAB board. I respect your opinion very much, and I've read and followed your advocacy on this issue. Do you believe that PZAB should have the legal ability to defer something indefinitely, and not by indefinitely 6 months, and just leave something on the docket and never have it heard? Do you believe that they should have that ability?
I think
Forever.
we have, no, not forever. I think until the applicant comes before the PZAB and can demonstrate a reasonable effort to meet with the neighborhoods that are going to be affected. These are large developments, not small. The small developers, when they meet, we get a better compromise from the meeting with neighbors than was even proposed. They move driveways, they do a whole bunch of things. But remember, they're coming before not asking something as of right. They're asking for something additional that's not otherwise allowed in the code unless they ask for it. They have to come to us. Then if we deny them or approve them, they go to you, either way. But I will just say, I will finally say that the rule of PZAB is to serve all of the city of Miami. You and the mayor are the ones who appoint all the PZAB members. You can remove us at any time you want, at will. You are we're not trying to take your power away. You are the deciders, we recognize that. But if PZAB cannot use the only real tool it has to try to achieve compromises that make the city better for all, PZAB then becomes nothing more than a false front, pretending to do what Miami 21 says it must do, with no tool to do it. Commissioners, you in particular should be glad that PZAB insulates you from having to vote prematurely on projects that your residents vehemently oppose. And I know Commissioner Reyes has spoken about that. Commissioner Watson has.
Thank you.
Please do not vote for this very, very bad
Commissioner Watson.
ordinance.
Mr. Chair, can I ask, because I have two quick questions as a result of what you said. So, that being said, because I know you've researched it already. One, if in fact they're in the spirit, let's say in the spirit of what this is about, right? There's a time certain upon which you're right. Somebody comes to ask for something over and above what they have by right. What would you recommend as a time certain that you all should come to a conclusion based on what they're trying to do?
Well, the only example I can use is one that's still coming before us after 3 years. And I believe that is the reason that this is even coming up now.
Okay,
well,
but that notwithstanding, because I don't like to see the voices of the public squashed or what have you anyway, but given the fact that, take that out of the mix. If in fact someone comes to the table, they're asking for something different than what they can do by right, which is the only reason they come to you guys, right? What sort of time certain do you believe is proper, right, in order for procedurally to move on through the process?
At least a year and a half, at least 18 months.
So you're saying 18 months?
18 months. Because remember, Commissioner, this has only happened one time since I've been in the board 3 years. This board does not abuse its authority, its power. Okay. And if we did, you can remove us. You can remove us the next day.
No problem. So then just to finish, because I had two questions, is there any other way that if someone who's coming to the table to pose something and they don't like what you decide, right, or don't like the process as it is stated, is there a way that you think maybe they should now go without you all? Can they opt out of the process and come directly to the commission? Is that something that makes sense?
Commissioner, all I can say is this is the only real tool, effective tool that I've seen that any of these boards have is deferral with some developers who insulted you. They have insulted this commission by saying, just deny us, just send us to the commission. That's an insult to this board, to the PZAB, and to the commission. Okay. So at least a year and a half. And then after that, we can wash our hands of them and say, go take your lumps at the commission. Okay. But you'll then know that we've done everything in our power to make them listen to the neighbors.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, I just want to ask.
Recognize, Commissioner. Yes.
From what I'm hearing, you think that you should have, when they're a developer that is asking something that is not within their right, you see, by right they don't have it, and that's the only time that they go to you, that they will have indefinite time to come and deal with you, and that is going to preclude them from using the same tactic or the same threat that that you just mentioned. They said, vote us down, we're going to go to the commission. By placing a time frame on their application, this is going to preclude them from doing that?
I do think that since time is money, that it's in their best interest to meet with the neighbors. And then if the neighbors are recalcitrant and just obstinate, we have a very professional board. This board knows that, and they'll say, look, they made a good faith effort to meet, and you neighbors are completely unrealistic as to what you're demanding. Therefore, we're sending it on to commission with recommendation for denial.
Still, I don't understand. You see, you're asking, and I want that. I'm all in favor that with community participation in every single project. But what I still don't understand, your opposition to having a set time or give them a time limit. You see, but they cannot be lingering around the same project by a whole year or 2 years. And then when they decide they will come back, you see, I still don't get it. Excuse me, but I still don't get, probably 60 days is too strict, and that might be it. But I think that would have to be a limit. There have to be a limit on what they're going to do and to get solve the problem. See, nobody is questioning your professionalism. Nobody is questioning your intention. And we are, personally, I think you're doing a hell of a good job. But what I don't understand, sir, and excuse me, but I don't understand this opposition of setting some limit on the time that, that they can, this request be lingering around. I don't see the benefit of it.
The answer is we're only talking about huge invasive projects.
Yes.
That, like some of the ones that have been proposed for Little Haiti, and those developers are happy because they're already down, refining their plans, meeting with your city staff to build their projects. And if they have to wait 6 months, no big deal for them. They prefer not to. They prefer to have it move strictly ahead. But with big projects like this that are so potentially destructive to the city's neighborhoods, they need to take the time. And we're not going to beat them up as long as they, in good faith, go and try to negotiate. What you're saying is, in 60 days, if they make a good faith effort, they should, well, yes, we would pass them out. But they wait us out. These big projects just wait us out, hoping to get to you, and I don't think it's fair to you.
But if we don't set a time limit, they will be waiting, forever.
But then they don't.
But what the thing is that we will have, that way we will have the opportunity of saying, listen, this project is not good. You are not serving the community. This is over. Let somebody else come in.
We have only had one in the 3 years I've been on the board. Only one that has done that to us. Only one that has refused.
I still don't see your opposition so vehemently opposing a time limit. I don't understand. I'm sorry. But I don't understand them.
You've made your point clear, though, why you believe you shouldn't have a time limit. And I understand it.
Are you just going to pick a time limit out of the air commissioner? Why, like I said, why not make it 90 days? Why not make it 10 days? Why not make it that we have to pass them out the very first time they show up? The only tool we have is deferral. The only one that they listen to when they're in bad faith.
But you could still deferral. I could understand you said only not 60 days. Get 180 days or something. But
a year and a half. A year and a half will get their attention.
A
year and a half will get their attention.
I'm not going
18 months.
And I'm going to use the expression that said either they do it or they don't do it. But there's not going to be lingering around and probably precluding some other developer that they want to do something with that project.
I will put the worst case, and I know you've been a champion of neighborhoods, but the worst case scenario is that the staff recommends against it and the PZAB recommends against it, but maybe it's 6-5, 4-3, because we try to move the agenda along, but then it comes to you and you have the neighborhoods show up, they're against it, your city staff's against it, and they expect you to vote on this. It's like they're either wasting your time or they're wasting our time. Or you vote yes, and then you look really bad. So I don't want to put you in that position, Commissioner, because I know you've been a champion of neighborhoods.
Yes,
And some of these developers expect that they're going to get their way no matter what.
but not with me, sir. Not with me. I mean,
I know not with you, but we've seen it happen in this city. Some of them expect they're going to get their way because of the clout they have. And the PZAB was set up in Miami 21 to stop exactly that. That's why we have 7 pages in that city code saying these are the duties of PZAB. We're not a minor board just saying, oh, send them to the commission.
Nobody's saying that.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
the
very
discussion.
much.
Mr. Parrish, just a moment, because you and I think we agree on a lot of things. But I do not believe the job of PZAB is to be punitive to an application.
We have
just a
never
moment, just
been
a moment,
punitive.
just a moment.
Never.
You're saying right now that is your job to use that tool to a bad faith applicant. I believe your job is to vote no to a bad faith applicant.
Our job is to make them
just a
meet
moment.
with neighbors until we can actually make
Right.
a vote that
And
makes
if,
some
and if they
sense.
choose not to, you vote no. You say, I don't believe they've done their homework. I believe this is a bad faith applicant. You put it on the record. You should get a unanimous no from PZAB. And then it comes to us. And if we see that as well, that they haven't done their homework, they haven't done their, but at least it brings finality
With
to the
all
situation.
due respect, Commissioner, we had people, and in fact, I'm taking up their time right now, that have waited for 4 hours today to speak to you. We would rather, I think it's better for the city to have them come to PZAB and spend their time there rather than wasting your time on your agenda, which is even more busy than ours is.
See, and that's where I disagree, because then I will never have heard that constituent's voice, and I'll be voting just by the applicant and the administration. I'm happy for this interaction right now. I want this in need.
These are only developers asking for major upzonings. That's all we're talking about.
That's not
major
true.
upzonings.
That's not true.
It is true.
Anyone that comes to you on an appeal or on an item could be a homeowner.
We don't defer them.
You could though.
We could, but we don't. You can remove us if we make abuses like that.
So what we're saying is we're looking for a simple guideline that sets parameters.
And a simple
to move things. Please
timeline
don't
that's going to
argue
be
with me.
abused
Please,
by
please.
these developers
I'm
in bad
not
faith.
looking for a back and forth. I'm just trying to explain what I believe what you said is a year and a half will show them. And we're saying 60 days makes it move immediate. I think somewhere in between those two worlds is where the reasonable
you're the commissioner.
number is. But there's another way to do it. There could be a higher threshold to get the deferral as it gets further along. Let's say if they want past 90 days, it needs to be a unanimous or a supermajority of the PZAB to get
90
beyond
days
that.
will be laughed at by somebody in bad faith like the one we had come before us.
And then
it will be
and
laughed
if they
at.
laugh at you, I would imagine you would get the supermajority or the unanimous vote to defer after that point. But I don't believe, because this is a complaint we get from small applicants in large, that the city is simply too slow to approve or deny anything. And all they want, and I'm not talking about the big time developer, because they can wait out through attrition. I'm talking about even just to get a door permit done for your home. Just to get a paint.
That is not what we're talking about.
But I'm telling you, the city is horribly delinquent in moving things through process. And so just setting a parameter that says, all right, you can force them to kick the can, whether it's 60 days, 90 days, or 6 months. But there has to be a point at which you just say, all right, you are a bad faith developer, I am voting no.
Well, then why don't you propose something like 60 days for anything other than SAPs, developments of regional impact, or maybe we can add to that list.
There may be some form of that, but it's worth a discussion. So please don't get upset. I think this is
I am upset. I think this is an outrageous attack on the PZAB and on the HEP board and then the code of board.
Right.
I think it's
And
outrageous.
what about the commission who would like to hear these items, and we won't ever get to hear them because they're just in a holding pattern? We want to vote yes or no on them as well. We want to hear what the public wants to say as well.
I don't want to take any more time from all these people, but thank you, commissioners. Thank you three for being here to listen.
Appreciate it, Andy. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, Vice Chairman Ken Rosso, Commissioner Jeffrey Matson, and Manolo Reyes. I'm Ana Cristina de Sá, and I'm here for the PZ2 4541 and PZ3 4545. I'm representing the board. I'm president of the board of the building on east side of the development in question. And I would like to read a letter from our board, and also I brought some extra copies for you.
Which association is it?
520 North, Point Bay North.
Point Bay North, thank you. This is on PZ 2 and 3, correct?
Correct. So the Board of Directors of Point Bay North strongly agrees with the action taken by the Commission, creating a comprehensive plan amendment along the Miami River, which is exemplified with the Ordinance 13753 as stated in our letter. As we see, a lack of uniformity, especially with the future.
I apologize, I think, so this is on PZ 2 and 3. Agrees the action taken by the Commission created a comprehensive plan along the Miami River. I'm sorry, I'm not following the correlation to PZ 2 and 3.
Yeah, let me develop on that.
Okay, I'm sorry, as long as we're on the same item. And
Yes, absolutely,
That's my fault, I was confused.
So
Please
our point is, I'm going straight to the point, that we only support the subzoning if the remaining properties along the Northeast 37 and 38th Street enclave are equally included, as the spot zoning is illegal. And that was done nicely at the Miami River. That's why we're making this reference to it. Yes, correct. Because, for instance, in my community, more than half of the people that live there, they are owners. So what we care is for something that, first of all, it's to be safe. Because it's a community right now that is very hard to walk around with a high-speed traffic. So, and what I would like to see is some improvement in the areas with the help of the city planners, because definitely we need to be evolving and look as good as everybody else in the city as we all want it to be, to grow together. And my community does have some like lots that was just sitting there and some rental stuff. So we do need help planning for the area to make a better lifestyle for the residents and taking the consideration of also what Miami is going forward. So we don't want to be left behind, and we want to make sure we're keeping up with the rest of the city. And also, I've wrote to many departments regarding the unsafety of crossing the streets between the parks, and how they speed, how they park all over the place. And so we need to help more on our lifestyle and planning.
Thank you.
And be like uniformity.
Thank you. So, and you surprised me. So you're not in opposition to the upzoning request. You're saying surrounding neighbors should also be able to benefit from the exact same application.
Yes, I'm reaching out for the city planners to consider that and considering assisting us in making my area, my community, a more planned community and upgrading our community.
Thank you for your
Is that
comments.
clear?
Yep, clear, still clear. Thank you.
And also, before I go, I would like to highlight our opposition to there was a request for the time limits between petitions for zoning for the properties for the city commission to be waived, and I'm against that. I like things to take its course as usually do.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Mr. Altave.
Yeah, Andres Altave, 1900 North Way Shore Drive. I'm here to talk about the deferrals of the Planning and Zoning Board. We're cutting to the chase. It's completely unreasonable to put a term limit, especially 60 days. This legislation is trying to fix a problem that doesn't exist because it was presented only once as an extended deferrals. And it was this massive project in Little Haiti. The developer did it to themselves. It was not piece up. They would refuse completely to meet the conditions that, the requirements that are normal and every developer has met. And the basic one was meetings with the community. They totally refused to meet with the community. They rather went to court and they lost, and then later they started meeting with the community. Was that so difficult to do? So it wasn't. Peace Hub present requirements that are very specific. It's not like, okay, Mr. Developer, you're gonna have to keep coming back until we like your project. No, it is usually requesting an updated traffic study, meetings with the community, and it doesn't mean that in those meetings with the community, you're gonna have an agreement with the community. No, it means that there was dialogue. You can refuse every item presented to you by the community, but then PSAB is going to be ready to make a recommendation, because you cannot go on forever having meetings that are not going anywhere. And PSAB, all the members understand that. It happened only once, and you tell me, if you are building a massive project that is going to displace hundreds of people in Little Haiti, you don't want to talk to them? Well, that is unreasonable. So there are 3 layers of scrutiny in projects. And we're talking about massive projects, because a small project, PSAB approves or disapproves very quickly.
On average?
On average, yes. Normally they don't go too long. We have a recent example, and it had nothing to do with, like, the developer was in bad faith. The development of the changes in the design district SAP. The deferral was for 90 days, and the developer understood that they were necessary. And there were meetings with the community, there were some concessions, but it's not that necessarily have to be concessions for PSAB to make a decision. The point is, hundreds of people, and you need to meet with them.
Thank you.
Laura?
Oh, no, we're on minute 5 now. Are you good?
I was going to say something else pretty short, but
Thank you. Did your...
I'm good.
Thank you. And on PZ 2 and 3, did your organization submit a letter of support or denial, support or opposition to PZ 2 and 3?
In the deferrals?
No.
In
This
the-
different subject, Biscayne Neighborhood Association.
No. In the development on 38th Street?
Yes.
No, there was no formal. And one reason there was no formal is because they didn't see so much interest in one way or the other, because they thought that, okay, if it is 5-story building to 8, doesn't look like a high-rise. And with bonuses could go to 12, or still it's not a major change to the neighborhood. So there was not really...
Support or opposition? Period.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
I really appreciate it. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Excuse me, I'm surprised to be actually speaking. Good afternoon, Chairman Russell, Commissioners. First of all, I want to say how much I admire your patience and your perseverance.
Likewise.
As much as I admire the patience and perseverance of every person in this room. My name is Greg Baldwin. I reside at 1000 Venetian Way, unit number 702. I'm the Vice President of the Board of Directors of the 1000 Venetian Condominium Association. And I'm here to speak about agenda item RE4, which is the ESJ request relating to Jungle Island. Our President, Mort Ehrlich, intended to be here today. He was unfortunately called out of town on urgent business, and so his remarks will be delivered by myself, although I would individually be seconding them anyway were he here. We are Jungle Island's nearest residential neighborhood. We're about 700 feet across the open water between Watson Island and Biscayne Island, and about 800 feet from the new beach club and restaurant, which is
Please
named
tell me
Joy.
it's still not a noise issue and a voting issue.
Constant noise. It's becoming worse and worse. What we want to do is this. And here's what we propose in a nutshell, because I know you got a million other people to listen to.
No, I'm as upset as you are, trust me. When this item comes up, I'd like to hear from the city manager as well as the police chief on what has or has not been done to address this issue, because it was pivotal to our earlier decision that they address this for you.
Well, that's true. And the Marine Patrol has been out there, but they can't chase down the boats fast enough. But the boats are not the major problem. It's Joya, and Joya is on the land. We call the police and we complain. The police go down there. The noise goes down for a little bit, then it goes back up. We call the police again, the same thing happens. The police have been responsive. The problem is Joya. It is not responsive. That's the difficulty, and it's making life unbearable, especially Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And I get 6 people here from the association that'll tell you that same thing firsthand. Now, we understand what's going on here. There's been a study that was done. I was in Europe, and it showed that the more loud the music is, the more people drink and the faster they drink when you're a bar or a restaurant. And I've got the report on the study that I'll submit to you so that you can take a look at it. But the problem is we're being sacrificed to Joya's profits so that they can sell more drinks. That's why the music is so loud. Now, if you are going to approve ESJ's request regarding Jungle Island, which is RE4, then what we're asking that you do is you do it only on the condition that an expert noise consultant be retained by ESJ, that consultant to be selected by this commission or a delegate of this commission to take the steps that are recommended to conduct a mitigation and noise study to include not just the decibel level, but the bass level, because it's the thumper, 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 thumper that drives everybody absolutely insane. And that doesn't measure on a decibel scale. But measure all of that, the bass and the decibels, require a report to be done as soon as possible with mitigation steps, require a response from ESJ as to what they are going to do, and make the study available to both ESJ and 1000.
Thank you.
All right, now, one further thing. ESJ is likely to say that they've already done a study. Right? And that's true, they did. But the study is not worth the paper it's written on, because it was done in 2018, in March of 2018. So the problem is, number one, they were predicting whether there's going to be a future problem on noise when there was no noise to measure or look at or listen to. So the study itself is completely defective. I've got a copy of it here, and you can see it, but it admits that basically what they're talking about is there will be no future noise problem. And we are here to say to you today, this report, as far as it's trying to predict the future, is flat out wrong, because we are living with the detrimental impact that this ESJ report done in 2018 says will not happen, and there won't be a problem. There is a problem, and there has to be an independent noise study by a consultant who is an actual expert, selected by the commission, paid for by ESJ, required to be done as soon as possible, with a written report and written mitigation steps and further follow-up.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Quick, where's the noise coming from? Where's the noise
So
coming
if you
from?
can
Commissioner, I'm going to submit the report.
Thank you very much. So on Watson Island, there's a lounge on the beach. Tiki hut with speakers. And then right across the bay, 700 feet, if I'm not mistaken, is 1000 Venetian, with all the residents right there. Now, sound travels very easily across the water.
Right. And higher.
Correct. And so studies are no studies. We have a noise ordinance.
You just said a word and I didn't hear it, so I understand that.
Gotcha. Okay, you know where it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I should add one other thing. The ESJ is required by Section 7.2 of its lease to retain a noise consultant and to take mitigating steps to reduce the noise. It's got nothing to do with what the city code is or what the city decibel level is. It's to mitigate the disturbance that comes to its immediate residential neighbors. The lease requires this. The only thing they have done is this report when there was no noise to listen to measure whether or not that noise was detrimental. And obviously, they came to the conclusion that was foreordained.
Understood. Thank you for your comments. Hello.
I'm Ellie Haydock. I've been sitting here all morning, so I feel like I'm absorbing all this anxiety. But, so I'm going to be very short. I'm here to say that it is is it SR1 regarding the hearing boards? And as a homeowner that's, you know, a resident, the hearing boards are to hear our concerns. And there's an imbalance of ability to, you've got your developer with their paid consultants, the attorney, the architect, the landscape design. They've got their whole team that's working full-time. And us residents are either working, taking care of the kids, trying to, you know, keep our heads above water, and meet to discuss, oh my gosh, do you realize what's happening in my neighborhood? So the hearing boards really is an opportunity to ask the board to direct the applicant to work with the neighbors, because otherwise they don't. Not all of them are that bad, but a lot of them don't. So I really would say, don't put a time limit. Honestly, they need to work with the homeowners. We've got to resolve these issues. So please do not pass it.
Thank you. Thanks for your comments.
Good afternoon. My name is Janina Botero. I live at the 1000 Venetian. I want to add some comments about what my colleague said about the noise. I moved there 3 years ago. It is a residential area, and now I feel like I live on Collins Avenue every Wednesday through Sunday. I try to go to bed early, and I can't because I have this pounding noise. I wear earplugs, and that doesn't solve the problem because it's a really loud bass. Our lifestyle as a family has really been affected by this noise. I call the police almost every day, and the noise doesn't get better. So I really want to ask you, everybody, to really respond to this matter and do the necessary things to solve this problem. As a resident, I want to live a comfortable life, and this is not happening because the measures are not being taken. So, thank you.
Question, until what time is it is?
It's until 10 p.m. But if I want to go to bed early, I can.
10 p.m. And is that in agreement with our ordinance, right? No, it's not.
11 p.m., I'm sorry.
11 p.m. is agreement. They're going, and what really, because I know what really it's more annoying is the bass.
It's the music, it's the bass. I can hear it from my balcony, of course. And if I'm in my bedroom with everything shut down, hurricane windows, I hear it. I'm watching a movie and I hear it. And my son wants to go to sleep and he says, "Mommy, I hear music." So this is a residential area. I moved here because I thought it was going to be a comfortable place to live, and I'm now with a club next to me, and nothing is being resolved. So it's really affecting our lifestyle.
Okay. Thank you for your comments.
And where is that one?
Same one.
Same building.
So are they calling code?
They're calling the police.
They're calling police. We're not calling code.
But have we had any measures of? I mean, are they going?
The code says
the decibels are higher than what the code says.
The code does not have a decibel measurement. It's actually in our favor, in which it says if it is clearly audible at 100 feet, we can cite them. Okay. And so if they're violating that at 700 feet away, they should be getting cited.
Okay.
And after so many citations, they can lose their certificate of use.
That's what I'm trying to find out. Is
So I will be very keen to hear from the management and police and code once this item gets heard. So thank you for your, I'm sorry you had to come in again.
I know people in your district that people make a phone call and code's there at 9 o'clock shutting them down because the music's too loud. So I'm just trying to find out why is it that these folks are not having the same response if they're calling. So,
thank you.
My name is Robert Zimmerman. I live at 1000 Venetian Way as well. The bass from Joya is so strong, I can feel it 30 feet into my house. My brother-in-law died of COVID last August. My sister and my nephew come to visit me from Charlotte. They stay in a hotel. because we don't want to expose Alexander to the bass I hear in my home every weekend. And I am very tired of the inference, not from you gentlemen, but from ESJ, that because they're trying to pay back the city and trying to make money, that they should be allowed to do this. You know, back last year when COVID started, I realized for this city that I love, the best thing I could do would be pump money into it. So in my professional life, I accelerated projects, and because of me in the greater Miami metro area, millions of dollars have been received by companies. One company alone received contracts last year for $14 million. And I will be happy, Commissioner Russell, for your staff to call me, and you can call that company and verify. Next year, those contracts will drop to about $9 million and $9 million again. And so my building is an economic engine. Just the people here are talking to you today contribute millions and millions beyond our property taxes. And now there's this RE4 where ESJ is supposed to get money. They're supposed to get our tax dollars, which I guess they use to pay their lobbyists and their lawyers and sound systems so that they can torture us. And as you can hear in my voice, I have just had enough. We've called code enforcement, and they say, oh, well, there's a law that in the Miami documents, if it's on city property, that sound enforcement doesn't apply. And there is something like that. But you know, I would urge you, gentlemen, please don't give them any money. Don't do anything for them. And a sound study's great. They just need to turn it off. And when Eli Mamoun was here last time from Jungle Island, he said, oh, it's the boats. Anyway, it's that same sound study. I'll stop because it beeped. But thank you for your time, and God bless all of you, and God bless this great city. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Hello.
Hi, I'm from 1000 Venetian Way as well. My name is Dharampal Singh Rawat, and really just before I saw all the passionate discussions you were having, we were celebrating 125th birthday for City of Miami. And somebody mentioned, if I recall, about quality of life. And again, the residents of 1000 Venetian Way, for us, this is really becoming a very painful experience, where people are thinking to leave the building. It's just horrendous. And I hope you guys listen to the passionate presentations of all the people before me and really give this a fair chance. I mean, you know, we have better things to do, and we've been here since 9 o'clock in the morning. You know, patiently waiting for my opportunity. And so have others.
It upsets me as well, because some of these commissioners weren't even here when this first applied to get on the ballot. And I actually had them wait an entire year because they hadn't done enough work with your HOA, your island entirely, not just your building, but all the buildings along there. And so it didn't get on the ballot for a year. And I said, listen, these are your only neighbors. If you make good with them, you should have pretty smooth sailing in this entire process. So for me, 3-4 years later, the fact that you all are still, you know, getting punished by this is upsetting to me. So thank you for coming.
I remember you coming to our building from day one when before other projects were happening. There was a big development. You remember? Big project. You were there, I remember. But this is happening now. That project never happened.
All they have to do is this.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's hard. The only days we don't have noise is when it rains. And you don't want us to pray for rain all the time.
Thank you for your comments. Hello.
Hi, my name is Ibisi Gosi. I'm also a resident at 1000 Venetian. And I want to give you an idea of what we go through, okay, with this excessive noise. First of all, my apartment has hurricane-proof windows, and I have surround sound in every single room in my house, in my apartment. We put the music on to try to cancel the noise coming from Joya. And what we are unable to cancel is the bass. It's impossible, it's a torture. And it's from Thursday through Sunday. We have no rest where we live, okay? The second thing is that I am able, and this will give you a good idea of how excessive the noise is, I am able to Shazam the songs that are played at Joya across the bay from me. I'm able to Shazam them. And if you're not familiar with Shazam, it's an application that you need to be close to the sound source in order to identify the song that is playing. That's how close it is. And Commissioner Russell, I have been in touch with people at your office, with Daniel, and they have proof of all this because I have proof of everything. So what happens is that we call the police goes there, and Joya is possibly, I'm not sure about this, but it's possibly alerted by the valet. They lower the noise. So they know that the noise is excessive, and they're lowering it. And I have proof of all this. I'd be happy to share with all of you. Your office already has it. But I want to know what you're going to do about this, because this is on you right now. We are strapped. I mean, we've done everything we can, and we're here, and you can see we're angry. So what is it that you're going to do? That's what I want to know.
Thank you.
I want to know what you're going to do.
We've been talking about it up now. When this item comes up, we're going to talk to the administration, the police chief, and the director of code. And there must be a very specific plan that's not happening right now. We will get to the bottom of it.
Well, I've contacted all of them, and they're supposed to contact me back, and nothing has happened.
Well,
So I'm going to do everything I have, everything I can to get this resolved.
Thank you.
But it has to happen.
I'm sorry you're going through this. I understand.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hi, my name is Giovanna Marina. I'm here to speak about the Library of Alapara and the resolution R200295. I'm the winner of the Public Space Challenge from 2018 for designing the storytelling garden and square of the Library of Alapara. I'm an urban designer coming from Venezuela that used to work regenerating public spaces in the most dangerous slums from Latin America. I'm here to speak very briefly about the importance of public spaces, in this case for the community of Alapara. Public spaces build community by bringing people together and create local identity. They foster attachment and spark economic growth. They also improve air quality. Alapara's population is 36,488 residents. The only public spaces the Alapara has are the Juan Pablo Duarte Park, Curtis Park, Melrose Park, and Moore Park. No squares, no boulevards, or other public facilities. I will include to the count of Alapara Square Garden. So, in total, they will make 35 square feet per person of public spaces. The average of the best livable cities around the states go from 400 to 1,200 square feet per, open spaces per person. That means we don't have much to offer. I just encourage the community and the city, the commissioners, to protect public spaces, playgrounds, boulevards, because they're a need for the city. And I hope the city protects these spaces. I think affordable housing is important, but I also think that we can eradicate the only civic spaces that are left for the population. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Deborah Arditi. I live in 1000 Venetian Way, and I'm here also because of Joya Beach. I want to point out that I paid $21,700 in property taxes this year. And I don't want to repeat myself, but I just want to point out two things. First of all, I brought a device, and I'll try to let you hear what I hear in my bedroom and in my apartment. I have to point out that the other day, even I have the strongest impact windows, and even with the windows closed, I was in the bathroom with the hair dryer, and I could hear that bath. So you can't even start to imagine how loud the music is. So I just want to describe you my weekends. My weekends routine is to call Joya to only get the answering machine, to then call Jungle Island, also to get the answering machine. Then I call the police department an average of 6 times per week. And our officers are always very polite, and they send someone to check, but I'm almost sure that they have a whistleblower in the parking lot that alerts them when the police comes, because they call me and they say, "Mom, there's no music." So this is not only unrespectful for us, it's unrespectful for the police, because they've been doing that, and they urge me to come and talk to you, because, I mean, they can't keep going on and off to Joya Beach. The last time I called the police was Sunday, 11:15 p.m., and I have to work on Mondays. So,
Did you want to play the recording?
I have like 10 recordings that I sent to you. I'm going to send you one, of course. I'm going to do
And
my
this
best.
is with your windows closed
This
from
is,
inside your
yeah,
apartment?
and I'm going to try. Can I?
Just right there's fine. Right there's fine.
Do it with the microphone.
So if you go back to your microphone. Got it.
Hear it again?
No, we got it.
This is what we hear, like.
We got it.
And I have a horrible one from the 22nd floor.
That's the 22nd floor, 700 feet away, with your windows closed.
The 22nd floor is worse.
That's ridiculous.
So I can send you, if you want, all the recordings with
No.
the No.
I want to help you with what you're going through. I don't want to go through what you're going through.
You don't want to listen for 5 minutes, and I hear for 8 hours
true.
a day,
You're right.
all the weekends. So
You're right.
please help us or lower our taxes. But I mean, this is unbelievable.
I'm saying that.
Thank you.
I agree with you.
Okay, thank you so much. And then I have another letter that I'm going to leave from Carrie Gruson. She's with the wheelchairs.
Give it to the
Yeah,
clerk,
and
please.
she begs you to do a noise study also because she lives in the 4th floor and she cannot stand it anymore. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very
Please
much.
hand that to the letter to the clerk. Thank you for coming. Thanks for your patience. This lectern, please. Hello.
Good afternoon. I am Yasnai Montalvo, a business owner and a resident in the neighborhood of Alapata, and I'm here speaking in reference to agenda item RE9. And this is regarding the conveyance of the land in the vicinity of the Alapata Library, which is currently a public parking lot. Many small businesses in Alapata depend on this parking lot. The customers need a safe space to access these businesses. And I am an entrepreneur myself. I come from a family of immigrant entrepreneurs. We've been in business for 15 years. And it's devastating just thinking the fact that we have to move or we have to close the business altogether because our sales are gonna go down and because our customers are not gonna have access to go into our business. On behalf of the small businesses in Alapata, I urge you to try to find a common sense solution that can address this parking lot situation and the sustainability of the small businesses in our community so we can work towards stopping this gentrification that has been happening for years. We all talk about the importance of small businesses. We create programs, we try to give them financial assistance. All we ask for is the opportunity to stay in business, so to do what we do well. And we need a parking lot so our customers can get there. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, I'm Linda Levy-Goldberg. I'm here on behalf of the community of Bay Point. I'm on the board of directors, and I'm here representing our board and our residents. Right now, there is an opposition to a massive upzoning request from T5R to T68-0 on the properties of Northeast 37th and 38th Street, east of Biscayne Boulevard. These are items PZ2 and 3 on today's commission agenda. This area is a residential area with 1- and 2-story buildings in close proximity to Bay Point, which is comprised of single-family homes. The proposed new construction and density is completely out of character with the surrounding area and will see the current traffic situation worsen. Already, it's incredibly dangerous and near impossible to cross Biscayne and head south, not to mention the backlog of traffic exiting the Julia Tuttle at 38th Street. The board urges the commission to follow the City of Miami's Planning Department recommendation of denial of this request.
Thank you for your comments.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners.
Alex Uribe with offices at 2525 Ponce de Leon Boulevard. I'm here to speak in support of FR3. I represent the operator of the Wynwood Marketplace, and that has been an entity that has helped make Wynwood vibrant and fun. And frankly, they've worked very, very hard, and they are working very, very hard to do their part in order to continue to enhance Wynwood in the future. The changes to the noise ordinance here have been warranted for quite some time. They're not going to affect detrimentally lots of residents or anything like that, and so we urge your support. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your comments. Mr. Freed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jim Freed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jim Freed. I'm a resident of the Hamilton, located at 555 Northeast 34th Street. I'm here to speak on SR1. But first, I continue to bring to your attention the Hamilton apartment building on Northeast 34th Street and its new owner, Aimco. Aimco is a huge out-of-state buyer of apartment buildings. Needless to say, you're probably well aware of how poorly the Hamilton's longtime residents and tenants are being treated. Through the chair, does the city attorney have anything to report additionally on the atrocity that's going on over there? Now, regarding SR1, please vote no. Please respect the Planning, Zoning, and Appeals Board to do its due diligence. Sometimes the best results take time. Please do not pander to land use attorneys who gleefully brag city commissioners will always do their bidding for whatever scheme is being pushed by those land use attorneys and their customers. Please vote no to automatic upzoning. Please show independence from lobbyists and concurrently vote no to show respect to citizens on the citizens' boards. Again, please vote no on SR1, and I'm happy to play the tapes of the jackhammers on top of my unit.
Thank you for your comments. Hello.
Hi. Good morning, good afternoon, actually. Thank you to you, commissioners, for being here still. I know it's a long day. I'm just here because I thought there was going to be cake. What happened to the cake? No, just kidding. I also object to the proposed ordinance, SR1, because although in theory it appears to improve a process, I heard a lot of talk about it. In practice, it's simply going to make it easier for the developers to advance their own self-interest and undercut the systems that are in place to protect us as citizens. So there has to be some kind of happy medium, some solution, so that it's not just about one developer that wants to get their way or large developers that want to get their way, as we are experiencing. A 60-day deadline in which to determine whether a project conforms to city code. I can't imagine anybody but the developers could think that that's a good idea. And it's funny because 60 days is the same amount of time that Denver developer Aimco gave us Hamilton residents to get out of our houses by a legally dubious lease termination, and nobody here thought that was enough time. Commissioners, you have a commitment to elevate the quality of life of residents, the residents of this city, not of Denver. Commissioner Russell, despite your efforts to facilitate a resolution that's beneficial to all the parties, there has been no real progress, and the time is ticking, and it's ticking to the advantage of Aimco. This has become a he said, they said, we said situation, and that's gotten us nowhere. And Aimco's carefully worded communications are crafted to make you think that the residents are the problem. I realize that standing here making that claim has very little effect, so I'm willing to present proof at your convenience that it's not the residents who are dishonest. I can show you that Aimco and their attorneys have engaged in dishonest tactics, put forth accusations for which they have no proof, engaged in retaliatory actions. They're playing us, all of us, and you would do well to keep that in mind. Commissioners, this is the noise. Slightly, that we hear every day, Monday through Saturday, all the time, constantly. And I would just like to know if you're prepared to hold Aimco accountable and stop them from trampling not just our rights as Hamilton residents, but also those of innocent bystanders that have nothing to do with this. Are you going to put your foot down and stop the abuse that Aimco is heaping on your constituents every day? Are you going to issue a stop work order to protect your citizens and force Aimco to do the right thing? Because they haven't been so far.
Thank you.
Are you?
Oh, we're going to get plenty of legal advice on what this body is able to do with regard to a stop work order, trust me, but we
Thank
won't
you,
be answering that right now.
Chair,
Thank
my
you.
apologies. Can I get the speaker's name? Ma'am?
Your name, please?
Maria Ray, R-A-Y.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Alana Greer. I'm the Director of Community Justice Project. And I've worked with, and our team has worked with dozens, if not hundreds of residents that have used the PZAB process as a space to engage with the city, as a space to have their voices heard. I'm emphatically opposed to SR1. I think this is, while it looks on paper like a simple means of efficiency, this is really about giving developers power in a space where your constituents, our community, has created a space to actually have a voice. And we know that those voices need to reach you as well, and they want to reach you, but this isn't the way to do it. I think if you really want to change this process, if something is broken, because it is, create a meaningful community benefits program, create a process for that, create minimum standards so developers are actually negotiating on a level playing field with the community. And so when that project gets to you, it's been meaningfully heard. 60 days is not enough time to do appraisals. We've had community-generated appraisals because there is none before it gets to you in a meaningful way about what an SAP is giving away of public goods. Those things would just not be part of the conversation if the SR1 passes. And I also just separately wanted to thank the commissioners who stayed to listen to the community right now, to listen to those who spoke in public comments. I sincerely appreciate it. As a Miamian, someone who grew up here and loves the city, I was saddened and embarrassed by the discourse I saw this morning, and I want to thank everyone on this dais because I saw you stay above that fray, and I hope that is the decorum that we can continue to have, because I think it's what we all deserve. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Hi, my name is Bernardita. I'm a Miami Beach resident. I'm here to speak about PC2, PC3. First of all, thank you so much, Vice Chairman and Commissioners, for taking your time, delaying your lunch to listen to all of us. I am a Miami Beach resident. I take my daughter to school in the design district. I work in Wynwood. I've done this morning commute for the past 10 years. And I really like what is being proposed for the area. I really think that my delays getting to the design district from Miami Beach just because we just have a couple of lanes and the person in front of me is liking 2 or 3 pictures on Instagram and forgets about the light. It takes time. Kids get late to school. It's not great for us. I hope you look at this proposal with good eyes. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Hello.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Sabrina Velarde with Miami Homes for All. I am the Policy Director. I am here today on RE9, and I'm really here today to stress the point that Public Land for Public Good and our coalition is not intending to derail or delay any specific project. The crucial aspect of this is to incorporate community engagement whenever public land is deployed. There will be other parcels. There is an 18-acre parcel in Alapata right now, and it requires community engagement, conversations with the community, and the incorporation of that community input into any contract negotiations. So regardless, if the Alapata Library parcel moves forward, we just ask that the community be engaged, that their input be incorporated into negotiations, and that in the future there be a policy in place that is transparent and speaks to the community first, before a final design or plan is approved. Thank you, and I hope you have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. My name is Donato Helmling. I want to show my support for PC2 and PC3. I've been a resident of Miami Beach since 2005, and I've been a business owner in the entertainment district now. It's called the south of Railroad in Wynwood. So unfortunately, we didn't make it through the pandemic, so we had to close our gym. My daughter goes to school in Wynwood, and now she moved to Design District. And the commute, as beautiful as it is to cross the causeway from Miami Beach to the city, when you make it to 38th Street, it's a vortex of, I don't know when I'm going to get to work. And I believe that it's also a little bit of a forgotten part of town, pretty run down, and it really doesn't match what happens between Miami Beach and the city. And this proposes to revitalize that area, and also it proposes to give private land to the project so that a lane can be added, so that it can be a straightforward lane instead of two turning lanes. I think it's a good deal for the city, for a private owner to just allow us to add a lane, and also to revitalize the neighborhood. It would give us consistency of a nice area from the city, from the beach to the city, and it'll also alleviate traffic. So we won't second guess driving from our home in Miami Beach to our businesses or to drop off our daughter to school. So just wanted to let you know that there's a lot of hesitation for us to make that commute, and there's a lot of conversation of going from the city to the beach, but there's not enough conversation from the beach to the city. That's where we work. That's where we conduct our business. So I just wanted to show my support in this initiative. So thank you very much.
Thanks for the comment. Hello.
Hi. Well, thank you again for making that conversation happen and allowing me now to give you an update of what the outcome of the conversation was. The conversation didn't yield any results in terms of that he, again, was not in ability, just like the person in our building is not in ability to really give us what we need, or in this case, give me what I need.
So you're at an impasse, basically.
And I just keep saying that they're not doing things in good faith. They are not doing what they say they ought to do. And there's no reason why someone like me needs to be going through this, especially when I even looked into the matter. They made me sign a contract for 20 months when it was in their benefit for their stock market to look good, to get whatever permits they needed, to get whatever money they needed. But then when they didn't need me, or they wanted to do what they wanted to do, they are kicking me out, and they are still gaslighting me and not treating me with the respect and the dignity that I deserve.
Thank you.
So what now?
Ma'am, you have legal remedies before you. Right now, we are having city commission, and we cannot solve this for you. You're at an impasse with your landlord. That is what the situation is in this moment. So and there's so many of you here, I don't have the ability to hear what specifics they're not agreeing to with you and you're not agreeing to with them, and try to help you in this moment. This isn't the time for this. And I really apologize that it's not, but it's not.
I understand. Well, I'm just asking you then, how do we go about it? How can you help us? Can we stop this construction? Can we stop this? You guys have the power. Can we stop the construction and stop the permit until this is a resolution? Because we're paying our rent, and we're going to be part of a conversation of eviction when we are doing absolutely everything. And you do have the power.
Thank you. Do you know that? Because I will be taking this up with our city attorney to know exactly what is possible. Why are you looking at me like this? Do you want me to help you or not? I'm trying to help you, but literally this is taking up the whole day on an item that is not on our agenda. And I want to help. I want to be able to help you. I do not know that we have the legal ability to issue a stop work order on private property based on an issue that has nothing to do with our building code. Mr. Weissong, can you help address this question? It's been asked about 6 times already this morning. Can the city of Miami issue a stop work order on Aimco until they come to a resolution with their residents?
So the issue would be whether, the building official has the power to do extraordinary things. However, the person has to be in a violation of the building code. And the fact that there's construction noise or something like that, that comes part and parcel with the renovation of a large tower. To answer your specific question, we don't have the authority to just stop it, to engage, to intercede in a contractual dispute between tenants and the landlord. I just heard that a 20-month lease was signed. There are rights and responsibilities in that lease that perhaps should be litigated. I know that many members of the residents have retained counsel of some sort, and they should be speaking with their counsel to try and determine what steps they can take to proactively, I don't know if they have to file a lawsuit against the landlord, but unfortunately, there's nothing in our code that allows us to intercede in a private landlord-tenant dispute.
Thank you. We are looking into mass eviction protections as a whole, as the ripple effect of Surfside will be washing across this entire community and potential mass evictions happen. So yes, we are looking into that right now, but we do not have a remedy for you specifically in this moment. I'm sorry, we don't. So we are looking into it. I'm happy to help continue to try to get you all to a middle ground. And some residents have. Some residents have signed agreements, taken a check, and they're gone. But that may not be what you want. So once I fully understand, I'm happy to help continue, but we can't do it here today. You've already
Sure, so
come back to speak second time. Please.
thank you. So since you want to do that part, can we do it with you and me? Since you're offering that you're gonna have him move that forward? Because maybe you having
right
their,
now. I'm happy for you to work with my staff, and we'll try to schedule something, because there's another 30 people who have the same situation as you, or similar, or completely different. I don't know.
can we do it as a group?
Yes, and I've already offered that, and we've already started that process. I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to continue
Okay,
doing
so I
that
will
until we get
follow
to
up on that. So
Yes.
because I really believe that if we do it as a group, with your intelligence and your leadership and your commitment to us as constituents, you're gonna be able to move this needle and help us. I'm sure about
Now
that.
you're just being
And I
nice.
pray for that. Thank you.
We have to break in a few minutes here. We're losing our quorum, and I really want to make sure each of you gets the attention needed for your item. But we're already going on 2 hours past the break we're supposed to have for lunch, which will push back everything. So what I'd like to do, especially now that we're having people come back to speak twice on the same item, I need to break so that we can listen to you with full ears. And I apologize, because I know you've been here waiting this long, but we've got well over an hour left of people here standing that have yet to address us. So we must take a break so I can get a full quorum back here to listen to you appropriately. So it is 1:45 right now. We can come back at Mr. Watson, Mr. Reyes. Yeah, we don't even have a quorum at this moment. So we're going to break until 3:30, at which point we'll take up the CRA meeting right then. We don't even have a quorum to take up the CRA meeting now. So 3:30 CRA meeting, does that work for you, Commissioner?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have a quorum.
If I can get one after the press conference, can we do it then? And then?
There's a press conference now?
Yeah, there's a press conference now.
I thought that already finished.
No, that's why we lost him. So if I can get him back, can we do it? You hold it open, how you want to do it? You can break this one. Go ahead and continue item.
Yeah,
We can't vote on a continuance. What do you got?
PZ7 and PZ8.
You're requesting?
We're
3:30 then?
requesting a continuance to be on the next agenda.
We'll note that for when we start back up.
What's that?
We don't have a quorum to vote on that right now, so we'll note that.
Okay, do I need to come back up, or will you?
No. Can you note it?
PZ7 and PZ8.
But it's not a vote. He's just asking for it to be continued to
Yes.
another date.
We can't do that now.
Oh, okay. All right.
But we will do, you don't have to come back for us to do it.
Okay, thank you.
7 and 8? Can you note that, Mr. Manager, Mr. Clerk, can you note that? That was a request for continuance.
PZ7 and PZ8 to be deferred to September 13th.
Yes, please. All right.
So 3:30. 3:30.
3:30,
Okay.
yes.
All right.